79T 2458 Learning Corp Little Red Riding Hood, take one.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that. That's like the dystopic cyberpunks. Yeah, welcome. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. This is pre-recorded. I got Flawdzilla over. Do you want me to call you Flawed?
Yeah, please.
You prefer that, or you prefer Mr. Flawed. Zilla?
No, no, please, Flawed. That'd be awkward as fuck.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I met you on. I was at Krigler.
Yeah,
you just showed up with the McDowell's hat, and then as soon as you started liking '80s Eddie Murphy, I was like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna be a great friend one day." I love it.
Yeah, no, that's like that hat is it gets a lot of compliments. A lot of people give me compliments on that hat because I got it off like Instagram. Adam always makes fun of me because Instagram ads, I fall for them every time because they know what I like and they put that in front of my shit. And I was like, yeah, no, I need that. I need that hat. Now I barely wear it. But when I do, I get compliments, man.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah. So here, I got personal questions first. One, I got to ask about your ink. I've only got one tattoo right now. I got a half sleeve of a French paisley. I got that when I was circumnavigating the earth with the Royal Canadian Navy.
Yep.
So you got a lot, like the face tats, and I can't miss them. You got to walk me through, man. Walk me through the story.
So my mother, right? She hated every single one of them. But as soon as as I grew up, I became like I hate to say hipster, but like now everyone's doing it. But when I was doing it, everyone wasn't doing it, and they were like, "You're crazy. You're never gonna get a job." And then all of a sudden, it like went crazy. Now people think I'm a SoundCloud rapper, but this has been a thing in the works. The piercings and tattoos. When I was getting them, people were like, "Bro, you're black. What are you doing?" And now it's like a normal thing. But
I was gonna say, so you got these before like mumble rap was big.
Yeah, mumble rap wasn't even close to a thing. I was listening to like Kendrick Lamar. I wasn't even these people. Well, Lil Wayne had face tattoos actually at the time, and he's my favorite rapper. So maybe it was influenced by that a bit. Because
I could see that.
Yeah,
I like Lil Wayne because he's kind of like he throws you for a loop. You look at him, you see standard gangster rap, but then like he throws out the eloquence or that story with I love his story with the cops.
Yes. Yeah.
That one and
the white cop
white
and the black cop.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. When Black Lives Matter was like big, he came out like, "Nah, I don't really do the race thing," and people were like, "How dare you?" And it's like I understand where he's coming from. Doesn't make it like the people who buy his albums are mostly white people. So how can you act like it's racism? Yeah. Like he would not be who he is if it wasn't for that.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Disrespect my audience like that.
Plus, you can't go to Toronto now because like we don't get many shootings. Yeah. But I live like near the CN Tower, and there's this one bar beside us. We always call it the Sound Club Rapper Bar. Every time there's a shooting, it's always from there.
I think I know what you're talking about because I remember a few years ago, I was like, I heard of a shooting in Toronto, and I was like, what? People be shooting in Canada? And they're like, yeah, it was some rapper that shot like 3 people at the club, and then you hear like Drake's people getting shot, and it's like I had no idea. I didn't know y'all were getting it in like that.
That's the one. And dude, here's how cynical I am. I was so pissed because I wanted to get home after work, me and my wife, and they were blocking traffic with all the police sirens, and I'm like, damn it! Couldn't you shoot them at like 8? Who shoots people at dinner time? Really?
Yo, you be in the house. What are you doing out here, man?
Yeah. What happened to the old days where you put out your mixtape, you get big, and then you go on the shootings? You gotta shoot before?
That it's crazy that you say that because over the past few years, that's really the case. That's why I used to really rap like every day was making music and trying to become a rapper. And then I realized that rapping is like way too dangerous of a job for me because rappers get famous and then start killing people and start shooting other rappers. And it's like, bro, I want to just like get money and be good. I don't feel like I should have to like portray this image that I can fight with guns with these people. And that's everything, no matter who you are. Like people getting shot at Denny's and breakfast clubs and stuff. People who not breakfast club, breakfast shops. Yeah, Denny's and stuff, getting chains robbed. And it's like, damn, like rappers they're the most insecure people in the world. It legitimately killing people just because they say something on a track. That's wild.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Crazy.
But it still makes me laugh. Like, just
it's funny.
Yeah, well, the Drake thing too, because like Drake to me, he was never a rapper to me. He was on Degrassi Junior High as like the guy in the wheelchair.
I don't know how he made the transition successfully. I would have never expected it, to be honest.
Probably like Will Smith when he went from being a crazy rapper into that guy who got cooked by his wife.
Actually, that's a great comparison. That's a great comparison because I
Both
didn't
of
even
them
think
slapped
about it
Chris
like
Rock
that.
once too.
Drake slapped Chris Rock?
No. I was just joking
Oh, I
around.
was like, damn, hold on. You got information because you're from Canada that I don't know?
Well, I did see him. There was a Raptors game last month. They went down with the old lady, and Drake was just sitting a little ways ahead of us. And it was so funny because it's like, he's a rapper, but he's also Canadian. So he had like a leather suit with the big jacket, like, like the Woo Wear gear, except for it was Skidoo, like the Skidoo brand. Yeah, and I was like, oh man, that if you're a Canadian rapper, that is perfect. That'd be like having the toque with the pom-pom on it, but like bling on the pom-pom.
Drake is an enigma, bro. I'm not gonna lie. He is one of the people that I don't like. Normally, I would not be a fan of him, but I just respect how he can turn all this bad press. Like he gets memed every time he drops a video. If he drops a video, it becomes people start using it to make fun of people, and he just gets more and more and more famous. And it's like you're like the most clown richest, like girls love you, guys hate you. It's like he has a crazy existence.
I know,
just people beat up like he's Canadian, and it's like I would never expect that. Like, you're going down the wrong path. It's the rapper thing, man.
The thing that weirded me out though is I didn't know he had an autistic kid. I didn't see it till he was at the crowd and like the players are showing up and handshaking him. I'm like, dude, that guy's grown up lucky. Yeah. But then it was, I guess, my girl explained it to me. I guess he has like a baby mama that he knocked up on tour, and now he's doing the right thing. So she's like following him around as a professional baby mama.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, good for him. He's like, you know what? I'm going to raise this kid proper.
But that would hurt his career if he didn't. So I feel like he's doing it for a different reason. I feel like he just wants to make sure that he can make some money in reality. Like, because if you remember, his kid was hidden from the world. He didn't tell the world that he had a kid, which I understand because why? Like exactly what you were talking about with this dude. Like, why would I? You know what I mean? But
I promised not to talk about it, but that was like my exact problem with the Matt Walsh thing last week.
But it just happened to line up. I'm not gonna go any deeper than that. But
that's fine. Honestly, the only reason I didn't want to talk about it is because it feels like it's cheap.
I was gonna say it's like it seems like it's on purpose to get clicks. Absolutely. That's why would you people because then it'll just give people it would taint your message if you became what he is basically to me. You know what I mean? But he hid his kid from the world, and then Pusha T, a rapper who he ended up beefing with, exposed it, and then he started being Father of the Year. It was crazy. It was immediate. It was immediate. Like, okay, I could use this for some promotion if I need to. Just like you just said, I can. Let me get some fame off of this. Let me make this look good for me.
See that I could see now why you wouldn't want to do rap full time then if that's your thing. It's like you don't want to be doxxed.
Yeah.
But actually, here's my question for you then. So I know you kind of know about like red pill spaces and that, of Rollo Tomasi and you see that the meme right now is that guys are aimless. They don't know what to want to do with their life. They're lost boys. Yeah. But you sound to me like, I don't know how old you are.
33.
But what's that?
33.
33. But you sound like you figured it out. I don't know your origin story. I don't know if you're doing like the standard, like, single mom or dad was divorced or any of that crap, but like you figured it out.
I had a single mom. I didn't really know my dad, but I went down a crazy path when I was young, didn't have much guidance, but without the help of the world, I figured it out. I had me and my girl, like we've been together for 14 years and she the whole time she was being like a woman, you know what I'm saying? Being my chick who was just supporting and making sure, trying to make me work as hard as I can for myself, and she reaped the benefits, which is, I understand she's a gold digger, but you know what I mean? But it works out because it helped me.
It means you have gold, right?
Yeah, exactly.
14 though, damn. I'm 13 years myself, and I'm the LTR guy.
Yeah.
You're outdoing me. And high school sweetheart. Yeah. It's like you would have been like 15 or so.
Yeah. Well, so we knew each other at that.
Start calling you Jordan Peterson.
Bro, like honestly, it's by luck because I was like I said, I was going down the wrong path, acting crazy, and she was like, I believe in you the whole time and just supported. And now she is reaping the benefits because she did. You know what I mean? And it's wild that without, like, my mother she was a bad influence on me. Like, she was doing drugs and like didn't work, nothing like that. So originally I was like, I'm crazy and I need Social Security. So there was like years that I was just
that's not like that's a real thing.
That's a real thing, bro.
I thought that was just Reaganites like bitching about.
Nope,
oh,
that's
geez.
me too. Yeah, that's like that's what me, my mother, my sister, like a lot of people I know were like, yeah, I need to get that Social Security check so I don't got to work so I can stay home and do nothing. And at that time, it was like making me crazy. It was really making me crazy because I'm like, I don't have a purpose to do anything. Like I'm just sitting here, just the bottom of the barrel, not doing anything with my life. Became a drug addict because I was in such a bad mind state. But then after I went lower, I was like, I'm too young to be like, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. My uncle passed away and he was like a drug addict for my whole life, basically. I'm like, I could continue down this path or I could right now deal with whatever the pain is that is going to come with transforming into at least not being a drug addict. And that was my goal. And then from there, it went like, now I want to do some of my time. I want to start a YouTube channel. And then it just like step after step after step. And now it's like, I learned from my experiences. And it's not that I got it figured out. It's just that I'm a critical thinker. Yeah, I'm pretty stupid in reality. But if I really try to think about things, I try to hold myself accountable and think about reality, what I have control over, because I know that I should not be doing anything right now. I shouldn't be able to pay rent. I shouldn't be able to I should be dead in reality. I remember I overdosed and my girl found me in the backyard. Damn. And that was the day I was like, I need to turn my life around. And I just focused on that. I literally just focused on getting to a better place in life. That was it.
You're smarter than my dad. That was what, like, he was Irish guy. He smoked like a chimney.
Yep.
And then when the doctors gave him that whole, like, it's either you quit or you're dead. And he never did quit. So
Same
a lot of guys don't make that.
That's the same thing with my mother, man. Dang. I watched that. Yeah. She died from lung cancer in 2017 and she was smoking all the way up until she couldn't anymore, basically, until she ended up in the hospital and passed away in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was dude, that's what got me. I was like 17 at the time. Yeah. And he had an oxygen tank for that last month.
Yeah.
So he couldn't smoke because he would have blown up the house. That was the only reason he stopped.
Yeah. The only reason my mother stopped, like, she really didn't stop. I remember she was like filling out do not resuscitate papers and shit. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're not going to die anytime soon. The next week, she started losing her voice. A month after that, she was like bedridden and she would only wake up to like throw up, phlegm, and smoke cigarettes. And then we were sitting in the room. I'm like, this looks crazy, but she always bounces back. She'll be fine. Yeah. The next week, she goes in the hospital. And then she's like, don't come visit me in the hospital because she knows I don't like hospitals. And then she was like, I'm going to be out tomorrow. Died that day. She said she was coming out. She meant she was going to be out. How old were you at the time? How old was I, babe? 2017, which 6 years from now, so 27.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't mean this to be crass, but yeah, I think it's better as older. Like, I was still like a teenager. It took me 3 years to even be able to talk about it and keep composure. So
I was on drugs, actively on drugs when it happened. So I was like, I remember at her funeral, like the day of, as soon as it happened, like me, my sister, my girl, and my sister's girl, we all went into the car and like sniffing Xanax and Percocets and like just numbing everything. So I never actually dealt with it until like 2020, 2021. It was like,
I think that's normal though. Like there's that distance you need to have. Percocets though, dude, military used to hand those out like candy.
Yep.
I ain't playing, man. They thought it was like, oh, we're gonna get rid of OxyContin.
Yeah.
Let's use Percocet. I'm like, dude.
Same shit. Same type of energy, man.
What's next? You want fentanyl? Worse. Yeah, it's fine. The Chinese are making it. We'll be good.
That's literally what happens, man. That's how I did it. I went from Percocet to fentanyl. That's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, hospitals here are still using it too, man.
Yeah, see? My mother was on fentanyl since I was a child. Like, since I was a kid, she had like a porter cath because my mother was also a drug addict. She had like a thing that went straight into her heart because she was like, oh, I'm having pain, and they couldn't find the source of her pain, so they just put her on a contract for pills, like weekly pills, put a porter cath in her chest to her heart, and she would just like basically take drugs intravenously, like fentanyl, Demerol, because her veins, when she would go to the hospital, that was the excuse, they couldn't hit her veins because her veins were too small, so they put the catheter in. But it really was like just made her even more addicted to drugs. And for my whole life, she was like 100 patch fentanyls. She was selling them to people. She was like, my mother was ridiculous. In reality, this chick she was literally, she was not a good guidance. That's why I say single mothers they can't handle young men, because her and my sister, whatever, they did their thing. But me, I was like outside of the bubble. Like, this doesn't seem right. Why am I just felt like I wasn't even getting tended to as a child.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can't. They have no idea. Guys and women think differently.
Relate. Exactly.
So all they can do is teach you to be a better woman. That's why.
Literally. And my mother was a lesbian too, on top of that.
Fair enough. So double woman.
Yeah, it was all women in my house, bro. It was like, damn. They were like, shut up, you're a man. Anytime I would say anything, like, you're crazy. What's wrong with you? Calm down. I'm like, I'm just talking. Like, y'all are really the crazy ones.
Even the ones that aren't angry, though, it's just they don't know. So when they think, like, when you get angry as a kid, like, you're a guy, you'll get angry. And then they treat that like you've done something wrong and bad. So guys learn to hide their emotions more. Yep. And I'm not saying you need to cry in front of your woman or anything like that, but sometimes you get pissed off and being angry.
You should be able to process that type of shit, though. Even if you don't cry and shit, you should be able to.
Well, yeah, that's usually what guys do to help. It's like, all right, so I get you're pissed off. You can't go fighting kids at school. Like, that kind of stuff.
Yep. That's what I needed. And like, I was 13. I was like resenting my mother because she was that. Like, she wasn't tending to me and all types of shit. So I was like, I used to like try to get up in her face, like, get out of my face. And like, that's something that a woman, she could never, what could she do? I could slam her if I really wanted to, if I was crazy. Like, but a father would be like, cut shit out. You're not the toughest guy. And it would stop,
Dude, you know what I love? Actually, this is the one reason I really wanted to talk to you about this. Was it's something called convergent evidence. So like, obviously I'm in the red pill spaces. I've never seen you there. I don't know how well you know the spaces.
I don't know it at all, honestly.
That's the best part though, because you're basically describing so much stuff that the guys there kind of figured out too, right? Yep. Different scenarios, but sort of similar. And so you get people that are not attached to each other at all, and they're all kind of coming to similar conclusions that let you know there's probably something to this. Like, you're never going to see a scientific research report out there saying, oh, this is like, moms can't raise kids, because you'll never get that past an ethics board. Nobody knows how to study it, whatever.
You can't even say that. Yesterday, I posted, I don't know if you saw that fight video with that little boy. I posted it.
Yeah,
I, like,
I love that one.
He's the son of a single mother. I bet he's the son of a single mother. People are like, what does that mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? What does that mean? I'm just making a point. Like, we know kids from single mother households they have more behavior. There's a lot of stats that tell you that that's an issue, but you can't even acknowledge those stats.
Well, that's because the kind of girl that hears that, she knows she's a shitty single mom.
Yep.
And by you saying that, it hurts her feelings. Therefore, you shouldn't be saying it.
That's the craziest thing, man. I don't get it. We'll never get past it then.
And the worst part is because MasterCard, actually, annually, they come out with these credit reports where they show you like how global credit's working.
Yep.
Do you know women are like a $14 trillion consumer industry?
I didn't until last year. Yeah. Yeah. Women spend all the money.
They spend all the money. Yep. And that's the thing, though. So if you're selling widgets or Pelotons or whatever, you're going to pander to women, because pander to women. That's why fat chicks are beautiful, because fat chicks buy merch.
But fat dudes got to get their shit together, and dudes got to be 6'2", all these type of things that are just okay.
If they were willing to go into massive debt to buy stuff, then people would cater to their fat asses too.
For real, though. That's like, I didn't realize any of this until probably like 2020, I'd say 2020 really is when it started like clicking in my head. Like, my life is a product of me thinking like my mother. Like, my mother, the mindset that my mother put me in, the reason that my life was spiraled out of control is because I responded in the way that I saw her respond.
And why wouldn't you? When you were growing up, that's the only frame of reference you had.
Yep.
Dude, every guy goes through that.
Thing to me.
Every guy does that way. That's kind of one of the things too I've noticed, like with the red pill guys, as they talk about their lives going through, there's always two like extra effects. It's always about, how do I, my wife won't sleep with me. What do I do? Or I can't get laid. I'm single. Yep. And then they get that stuff sorted out. And then they'll notice, one, they make more money. Yep. Like every single guy, they notice that just because they're being more assertive now, they're leaving money on the table. And
bro, that's literally what happened. Like my life, I went from Social Security to literally like having my apartment, paying all the bills. It's like all because of a mindset change. Yeah. It was crazy.
Well, and I'd say an action change. You started doing things. Your mind kind of followed afterwards.
Yes, actually, that's true.
And the second thing is, and this was me personally too, is that you learn to kind of, I guess, forgive your parents in the best way that I can put it.
Yep.
Like my stepdad, horrible stepdad for all intents and purposes. My dad wasn't exactly the best for dad. My mom tried her best, but women can't raise men.
Yep.
And then once you get enough, you realize like their parents were kind of shitty too.
Yep.
So you can't really expect much from them.
Yep.
And so
you
just kind of
realize it's a cycle.
Yeah, you did the best you could.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Legit. My mother, I remember, I think about it now that, like you just said, her mother passed away at 8 when she was 18 months old, and she was raised by a single father, but he couldn't raise her because she wasn't trying to hear what her father had to say. Yeah. And it was like there was no old school female energy to be like, hey, like, be a respectable young woman. You want to do this, you want to get a husband, and like none of that was even a thing at all. It was just my mother grew up like she spoke feminist shit, but like didn't apply it to life. And it's like
feminists are disingenuous. Tell me this isn't so.
Exactly. And my sister, like, she taught my sister that I watched it be a pattern. I watched it happen. And I'm like, she was a victim as well of all this. Like, we're all just victims in this situation, man.
Well, this is why I love, again, seeing guys like you carve yours, or me, or other guys, right? Everybody who's doing it well. Is feminism kind of came around, like everything kind of got fucked up.
Yep.
And they had 3 generations to kind of sort this out, and they failed. I would argue failed miserably. And now it's going to have to take like hundreds of guys like you, like a whole bunch of other examples I can use to kind of figure out something that works now.
Yep.
Like how do you get guidance when there's nobody to guide you? And for the most part, you figured it out. It took you, like you said, you were 27.
Yeah.
But now I like how there's guys, like it's the internet. You can swap notes with other guys. You tell the guys things, and guys will learn this at 19 now, so they don't have to worry about all the crap we put up with. And I enjoy that. It just sucks how the entire time you making a comment like single mom kid gets choke slammed and gets a whole bunch of people mad at you. It's like everybody just kind of wants the failure to continue.
That's it. You don't even want to acknowledge what the issue is. It's a wild situation. And it feels like that shit is by design, honestly.
I had arguments with this. I used to have a co-host in this, Carl. His name was Black Label Logic. Switched on guy.
Yeah.
But he called it a emergent strategy. It's not that there's like a cabal of evil, Kanye guys going in the background making things happen. It's just hundreds of people are making decisions, kind of like how your mom did, or your dad did, or my dad did, and they all kind of lead in the same direction because they're all in the same environment. And so it looks like a conspiracy. Now, I don't know which is true. I prefer to think of it that way.
I think that's true because I honestly, there's like a theory, like a scientific theory that says in chaos, there's still order. Like if you get a large enough group and it's a bunch of people just making free will decisions and being chaotic, majority of the people are going to do the same thing regardless because they're in the same group. And it's like, no matter what, it's like that ball game where it's like you drop all the balls and it's supposed to go into the thing. Yeah. And they will most of them will go into the middle, in the 3 middle. If you just fill it up and just drop them, just fill the thing up completely. They'll go like that. Some will be on the out, like exceptions, but most of them will go right into the middle because it's just, I don't know. It's whatever it is.
It's the most adaptable thing. That's what makes me feel better though. Because if there was some evil billionaire cabal trying to keep us down,
there would be no chance.
There'd be no chance. But now it's just, there's nothing in your way. Like you even noticed that yourself.
Absolutely.
All I did was just start to work and then I got there.
Bro, I used to be the one, my mother, again, like it always goes back because that was the only thing I had. I felt like I was hopeless. I felt like she was like, nobody wants to hear your opinion. You're basically, you're just existing because that's why she was doing drugs and didn't have a job because that's how she felt. And she just sprayed that onto me and my sister. And it's like, it took me a long time to be like, let me just try. let me put that to the side and actually put in some effort here. Cause I'd be like, I'm forsaken. Like why does everything bad have to happen to me? And it's like, now it's like, damn, I don't remember the last time I was really unhappy, to be honest.
Well, it's because you're too busy getting shit done.
Exactly.
To care about how you feel about it.
Exactly. And I do that consciously too now. It's like, I made the decision like, okay, I could be too tired to go do this. I could like not wake up in the morning early. I could like be lazy about everything. But instead it's like, what if I just go hard right now? I'll be happier in the outcome. And I always am whenever I get shit accomplished.
And the funny part about this too is there's this guy Roosh. I don't know if you know who he is, but he actually
made the Christian dude.
Yeah, he was Christian now. At the time, he was just a pickup artist. But
really,
yeah. Oh, dude, There's, I don't know if we want to waste time on this, but there's so much
I'm
history
down,
with
bro.
all of these people. It's
I'm
insane.
down. Because he's the one that shows up in my he did, like, when I first started peeking into the Manosphere, he was like popping up, and I was like, oh, he's kind of based. And then it was like next week, it was like, that's why all these dudes and and I'm like, it put a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not gonna lie.
He's the reason why it's even called the Manosphere.
Really?
The Manosphere doesn't exist. Yeah. Back in 2012, Mother Jones. I don't know if they're still around.
He's been around that long?
Yeah. It's only been out that long. It was Mother Jones. They were like a feminist, like Jezebel, that kind of thing. They came out with like what the Manosphere was, and it was a mixture of men's rights advocates, which I don't know, whatever. Karen Strawn, all them.
You got to make it a collective, bro. You got to make it
exactly. You make it a collective. I was talking with Hotep Jesus on this one, Brian, a great thing, where if you make things a collective, you get to condemn it by its worst people.
Yep, absolutely. They all get judged by the worst.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Military, I absolutely saw it. I kind of inferred, like I knew he knew what I was talking about because I know for a fact you guys get it there too, being judged by your worst.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's like a obviously that's like a I try to steer away from that and not pay attention, but it absolutely happens, and it's just whatever. Those people are stupid, but
that's the problem. Is you got all these identity type politics people, and they're trying to make themselves into collectives, and then they're trying to they just eat their own. Anybody who strays, and that's why, because they're trying to become pure, and everybody wants to be Jesus. It's like, dude,
it's crazy.
Individuals.
It's crazy because it's on, like you just said, it can't survive. There's no way that it could continue forever like that. So at some point, the wheels are going to fall off of that, and it's going to be everyone's going to be out the car already.
Oh yeah, and it's perfect. Like just from the man side of things, this is why anybody who does anything here that's a guy has to now apologize for like Andrew Tate or some shit, which is ridiculous. But back to Roosh. So he made a prediction that he said Black America was about 15 years ahead of white America. And here's the thing now that I'm noticing. So like you were talking about your life, 15 years ago or so. Now like middle America flyover country is starting to get these problems, and they're acting like they're brand new. Brand new, never happened before. Like I saw them in my childhood, you saw them in your childhood, and now they're coming along and they're fighting it, man.
Yeah.
They really are. They seem to think just more Jesus will fix everything.
Yeah.
That was kind of that was my hope. Just like, swap notes with guys, and some of those guys ain't gonna make it. I know that. I know like you were saying yourself, some of your family didn't make it. Probably people from school didn't make it. But a few did.
Plenty, yeah, absolutely.
And then there's some guys who are always gonna make it, and I don't worry about them because they'll be fine. It's those guys that would have made it. Like basically, you had enough potential to make something yourself. But the only thing that was missing was the opportunity and the environment.
Yep.
And I'd argue all the same way, but the point is, like, there's a small group of those guys. And I think those are the only guys that are really like have a potential to do anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They've experienced everything.
Yeah. The Pareto Principle. Remember that? How 20% of the people do 80% of the work or whatever?
Yep. I was actually just talking about that yesterday. It was in different context, but I was talking about because people were like, yeah, everyone should go from YouTube to Rumble and people are like, no big creators will go to Rumble, so Rumble won't thrive. And I'm like, really? If you look at like Twitch, YouTube, you look at any of these companies like that, they're being driven by the biggest creators. Everyone else is like their potential to make it, but it's really the ads are going to PewDiePie's and Mr. Beast, and that's where the real money is coming from. And people think the little change like us are gonna actually matter, but you really gotta give credit to where it's going. On Rumble, you gotta get the big creators in order for Rumble to thrive, and that was the point I was making. But it's like that's a real thing, man. Most of the people are being led by a few.
Yeah, which I mean, for YouTube and that's fine. I don't mind playing small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
The part I love about it, like sexually and like just growing up being a man type stuff, is there's nobody at that 20% with you. Like nobody got in your way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
everybody got out of your way. They're like, he's not going to make it, and they left you alone. You're like, fuck, sweet.
That's a fact. That's I've been counted out so many times, bro. And now I know people hate to see me doing anything because I see like the people who were there was people who thought that they were gonna be, like you just said, there was people who thought that they were in the group and they were just they had it, and I'm the one who actually was doing the work to make it happen, and that's why they look at me now like, we're not happy. I bet you there was a lot
of nights though where they were out drinking with their buddies, and you're sitting in the studio.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like I said, I was in my house, like Bro, the amount of energy that I put into learning all of this because I actually enjoyed it and thought there was a future in it.
Mm-hmm.
It was an obsession. I mean, it was legitimately an obsession, and I believe that's why shit clicks for me, because it's the same thing with rapping, the same thing with anything like there's music theory, which is like technical music.
Yeah.
Classical, what they teach classically trained musicians, but you can get to that level just by really taking it seriously. If you really go with it, you'll be like, oh, these things sound good together, and you'll start doing all these weird like literary tricks and shit, and it just like naturally comes to you, and you don't even realize that it's music theory. So if you spend enough time doing it, the person who thinks he knows it all and is slacking, you'll beat him if you really are dedicated, man.
Yeah. Well, that was always my big joke, is the Beatles apparently didn't know music theory at all.
See, it makes sense.
But they would just practice on things, and then like, because there's always there's like a rabbit hole of like Beatles fan music theory channels out there. And I was on that one for like a year. And it's hilarious to hear them talk about this. They have like this very fancy concept, and the Beatles were just like high one day going, hey, if I do this and you do this, that sounds pretty cool.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Which is hilarious. Because, yeah, it's like you don't have to be smart. You just have to be kind of committed. But I think it's that you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
Remember that whole 10,000 hour meme that they said you have to do 10,000?
I always thought about that.
Do you know what's funny about that? If you actually go back and read the study that all the articles are based on, it's not actually 10,000 hours. It's like 200 to get to like the 95th percentile of mastery. It's only once like you're going to take it to the US Olympics level that you have to put in the extra 9,000 hours.
If you want to be good at it,
you
can just do it. That actually makes sense. Because if you look at any industry, like I go back to music, because the music industry I feel like is ahead of the rest of these industries too, because the contracts they give out in these other industries was been happening in the music industry. The way that artists are treated, it's been happening. Better
in music or worse in
music?
No,
it's worse. It's worse. They're like the corporate side of it has stifled any creativity and put on the worst of the worst and skip the best. And it's like, if you just know if you have like a understanding enough to sound good on a song, I think that's the 200 hours. And then everything past that, you could be Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, if you want to really go that hard. But there's plenty of good rappers who are making so much more money than people who are great because they put in that 200 hours and people are like, that's good enough.
Well, and they're smart in like more things, like the Renaissance man. That's why I was, because YouTube, true. I think you and I were talking about this like way back, where to be a YouTuber, it's not just sitting in front of the camera. You got to learn how to speak publicly. You got to learn how to write scripts. You got to learn how to be a cinematographer. We were talking about microphone tech for like 15 minutes when we started.
But people don't even understand. That's the thing. People don't even think about that. When I tell people what it goes, they're like, oh yeah, just keep on just talking to a camera and being useless. And it's like, bro, I could probably, if I took myself off camera, I could probably get a job doing this somewhere because of how much work I put into this, honestly.
Oh yeah, you'd be a sound engineer for Kendrick Lamar's next album.
Legitimately, like even that, like I was a rapper. The reason I really stopped rapping because of the amount of energy that you got to put into writing, recording perfectly, and then mixing and mastering your own song. And it's like these people have people for each one of those things, and I got to learn all that, and it takes so much time.
And marketing.
Yeah, and marketing.
Distribution.
And then you got to shoot music videos. And if you ain't got money for any of this, you have to learn how to do it all. And it's like, I could do it now. Now I could run that easily. But when I was rapping,
24 hours in a day.
Exactly. It was like I used to make Mo. I'd be like, yo, hold this camera, go like this with the camera, like do this, and just keep doing that over and over again. And I'll just edit it. Like,
it's a match edit. How do you not know this, dude? He's like, what the hell are you talking about? Or match cut, But that's the problem everybody gets now, I think, is that you always just like, you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
That's the realest thing ever, bro. That is the realest thing ever.
Because like I never wanted to do YouTube either. For me, I just wanted to write books.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to Mo. I was like, yo, the difference between Ryan and Rolo and the rest of these people is that if you really wanted to get your message out, you would be trying to write books too. You would write books about this. You wouldn't just be, let me get famous, let me get mad views on this, and it's like you really don't care about the things you're saying because the knowledge the book is going to outlast. Exactly. That's all it is. Legitimately. Let's get to 1 million subscribers. And it's like, you don't actually care about getting the message out there, bro.
That's what always makes me laugh too, because they'll shit on chicks on OnlyFans, and I'm like, dude, the only difference is your nipples aren't showing.
Literally, and they are half the time. That's the thing. Y'all thinking y'all look brolic and shit, just like these women.
In fairness, Jack Murphy didn't mean to release those publicly. Somebody else just did that for him. I still laugh. Murphy, I still laugh at that, man, when he was yelling at Sydney Watson, calling her a cunt or whatever.
Epic.
And then every heartfelt. Like traditional, heartfelt. And every traditional conservative married guy with kids had like a 6-month window where they could watch gay porn with impunity. No, honey, I'm saving the West here. Stand aside. I need to watch how far he shoves it up there. All that like repressed sexuality. They had like an end pass for 6 months.
I'm investigating. This is important. I have to watch it every day on loop.
Oh, that stuff kills me. That's why I'm so flippant on Twitter. I'm surprised you're not more flippant because you have your own niche and you see this stuff.
I was like before, because I was like a fan of Fresh and Fit and all these other channels and stuff, and I was like, yo, this dude Ryan is a hater, bro. Like he's really a hater. And then time goes by, and I'm like, bro, he's right. Like everything he says, people end up exposing themselves, bro. And you've been right literally the whole time. Now I take your word as gospel. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, now, dude, don't. I'm an asshole. I wouldn't.
But I'm joking, like to that extent.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, though.
You could easily just like be like, no, yeah, they're all great and be friends and get on these people's channels and all that, but you really see the bigger picture, and that to me is like that shows that you have integrity and that you actually want men to do better, bro. It's like a,
you know what it is. It was like when I was in the military near the end, I didn't really like the job.
And finding out you're in the military, I'm like, yo, this dude, he's like, like you're really that dude. When I hear shit like that, like this dude's in the Navy going, I can't even swim. I wish I would. I wish I would get on a boat, bro.
Oh, that sucks. That was fun. We were outside of Italy when we were deployed, and we're doing dive X's off the ship, having to do like 20-foot dives in the water like the Goonies.
Nope. That's like fear. That's like a nightmare to me. Like just thinking about that, that's a nightmare to me.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But no, what it is though, it's just I never wanted to be that guy. You know, the guy who shows up to work that everybody rolls their eyes when like give it to him. It's like, oh fuck. I never wanted to be that guy. And for this, it's like I don't need money. Everybody else is kissing ass right now because, and this is something I noticed with Mike Cernovich. I don't know if you know who he is, but so Twitter he has like this big audience, or Steven Crowder's another example. And so what everybody else does is because they want to work with him and so they can carve that audience out for themselves. They kind of repeat what he says, like as like a job application, in hopes that he will notice and then bring you on to reinforce what he's saying.
That's a fact.
And it feels like inbreeding, you know?
Yeah.
So nobody's really saying what they mean.
Yesterday, I was like, this whole Steven Crowder Daily Wire situation, it could literally be, I was like, if you offer someone a deal like that when you know that they get demonetized and struck all the time, like regardless of what you think about Steven Crowder, about Daily Wire, when you offer someone a deal like that, like a muzzle contract like that, I feel like they were trying to rein him in because he's not Daily Wire born. He's not like a Daily Wire person.
Not family friendly.
Yeah. So it would be like, okay, if we can muzzle this dude, calm him down, cool him off, they could literally just put a Matt Walsh right in his spot and be like, yeah, Matt Walsh is the new Steven Crowder, except he's family friendly, you know? And I feel like that's the exact type of thing that drives exactly what you're saying. Like they think they want to work with Steven Crowder. They want to be Steven Crowder. They want to be these people. And
they want to wear Steven Crowder as a skin suit's what they want.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's no one is thinking individually. No one is thinking about actually what they're saying, what they're doing. And that was I was regurgitating just like red pill fucking mind reading points, and I watched this other creator, MTR.
If you don't have the newest iPhone, you'll never get paid. That was my favorite.
I'm like, okay, so I got to make my Instagram just so I can get kind of like some traction. And then I was like, nah, this seems thirsty. And then it comes out he got a girl pregnant and all this. I'm like, this dude is like, this is the most messy shit I've ever seen in my life. How could anyone follow someone like that?
Well, that's the thing, because all he wants is numbers.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's if you're willing to do whatever it takes. Granted, it makes money. And this is why I always love that. You're just being a hater. It's like, no, man, if I wanted money, I'd be doing the same thing.
Exactly. You could literally follow that same exact blueprint and get the money, get on his show probably. Like, look at Andrew Tate and them, like they were like, oh, let's take this to the moon. And now they're like, now we can't criticize anything he does. And it's like, this is the type of shit. Like, you're supposed to be a man Just be a real person. It sounds to me like you won't hold people accountable, which is the exact opposite of the message that you're preaching.
Or hold yourself. But that's the thing. Nobody wants to want it. They just want the feeling of it. But this is what I love about it, though.
That's exactly what it is.
Because you don't do that. I've never seen you pander to anybody.
No, I can't.
Except for me.
I make people mad. Yeah, except for right now.
On the show, you got what you need. Like you're earning a decent. Like you said, bills are paid.
Yeah.
Wife is happy. You get some fly. You get some drip. You buy new microphones. Whatever. You don't need for shit.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to sell out like that.
Yep. That's
like, how much do you need? And this is what actually the one thing I'm surprised nobody's brought up is, does that Steven Crowder thing not remind you of like Dave Chappelle back in the day?
No, it does. It reminds me of it so
even
much.
50 million. Wasn't that exactly what they offered him?
Yep. The exact amount. Yeah.
And then Joe Rogan got 100 million. So clearly it's just, you're just too cheap.
That's it. That's it.
The trick is 100 million. That's the price of a soul.
He would have sold. That's the thing. He would have definitely signed that contract for 100 million. I think.
Like if Crowder was smart, he'd have gone to Africa after this to go revisit his roots as like a satire of the whole thing, but whatever.
That's actually, he should. He really should and document it. And he should like parallel it to Dave Chappelle because he absolutely could. That would get some views.
Oh, for sure. But that's what I love about when I see other creators like you. It's like, I don't have $8 million in the bank.
Yeah.
But I don't need 8 million. My lifestyle costs, $500,000 or $750,000. So once you're there, you don't need to pander to anybody. Any decision you make is a free choice.
Yep.
And maybe it'll get you something new, but you don't need it.
That's really been my drive from the beginning because when I was young, I didn't get new toys. I didn't get I had a PlayStation game and I used to rent games for like $2 at Home Vision Video for a couple days.
I miss renting games.
Yeah, that was like, I loved it. That was a great experience, man. And I didn't have a memory card, so I would just have to beat the game. I'd have to sit there and really beat that game or else I would lose my chance. But I'm not like shiny things. It's always been, I know it's not a necessity. I'm more of like a DIY person anyway. Yeah. So I like the low budget aesthetic even because it doesn't make me, I don't set too high of a expectation. Like, okay, I need everything to look like crazy. I was like, I could use duct tape. I could use cardboard and people would be like, oh, I like what you're going for. And it's like, I'm really just broke. And that's like, that's the kind of mind state that I try to stay in. And it's like, well, you can use your resources. And I've always, from day one, when I started rapping, everything, I was like, I just want to be stable. I don't need to be famous because that comes with so much extra pressure and ridiculousness that's not necessary. I would just be happy to be stable and be able to be myself completely. Whatever that amount is, that's what I want to be, You know
what I love? That's like a better message for young men who want to make it in the world than 10,000 White Claw Power Hour podcasts. I swear to God.
Yeah.
No, it's because you have what's the word I'm looking for? Like self-actualization. You know what you want out of life. Like how many people can actually say, I know what I want out of life? Yeah. And you're right. You don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
But you know which direct, it's like it's that
absolutely
way.
I know what I believe. I know my left from my right. And I know when I make my decisions, I make them with conviction, to be honest.
And this is the funny part, back to sex.
Yeah.
This is why, and I don't know your relationship with you and your woman. I'm just taking a stab at the dark here. Yeah. That sometimes
that's what I do. That's our relationship. I just stab at the dark.
Yeah. Sometimes she pushes you. She pushes you for something. She prods at you. Maybe she's crying. She wants to feel bad for something, and you don't waver because you know what you want.
Absolutely.
And that's where a lot of these trad guys don't. They call themselves, what is it called? Leader servants or something like that. Have you heard the term before?
No. What the hell is that? Sounds like the most cringe shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's essentially being a plow horse, man. Like I guess I could use a reference like soft shoe. You know what I mean? You got to pander to the wife and you got to treat her like a princess and she's the best thing ever. It's almost like they replaced, for a lot of like the very devout Christians, they've replaced God with the women in their lives.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why like Karen is a meme. And that's because like she wants to look up to her man.
Yeah.
But she's got a man who's looking up to her. And so of course she gets bitter about it. And of course she takes that with the dude at Best Buy.
Yep. That's actually, that's
why they always ask for the manager.
Let me get some leadership here.
I want a man in charge. Make me feel alive again.
It's funny, but it's true because you don't want to talk to the dude that is equal to you. You want the dude that is higher than you. That's what the woman wants. Like my girl Mo, from the whole time, I've always, even when I was on Social Security and she had a job and everything, the main thing was that we're heading towards something and I run the ship. Like no matter what, just take. I got the lead, and her father and mother have been together for her entire life. She's watched her father lead her to the promised land, and she just wants to be the same thing. She wants to be like a wife, you know.
I need you to keep that down because I had to write a whole book to get a guy there, and I can't have them getting the lesson from you in 15 seconds. I got to push this merch, bro.
I'll push
keep that to yourself.
But it's like it's a real thing. Like the reason that we're still together right now is because that was always what it is. She'll tell you the stories that her and her mother, like they're like neurotic. If anything happens, like, oh my, they start bugging out. And then if her father was in the hospital one time and he couldn't make any decisions for her mother. So I literally had to go over there and be like, let's calm down. This lady is a grown woman, like a grown woman. And I had to go over there and be like, let's calm down. Just chill out. I know he wouldn't want y'all to be doing all this. And they're like, you're right. It's actually not that big of a deal. Because her sister was like calling like, we need to, and I'm like, don't listen to her. Chill out. It's not that we can kick it. If things happen, we can get to that point. But right now, you're jumping the gun. And he came home and was like, you did exactly what you were supposed to do. Because if they would have showed up at that hospital, bro, it would have been a much worse situation. Because he's also a man and don't want to be seen in a vulnerable state by his daughter's life. He like it's a normal thing. And me and her father used to not get along. And it was when I was super like. My mind state was like super flawed and no pun intended, but like skewed in a female like emotional state. So I was like,
and he picked up on it. He may not have known, but he picked up.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it's the opposite. And now he's like, we get along so well now. And it's a beautiful thing, to be honest, because he's a Vietnam vet. Like this dude has been taking care of his daughters. Like fucking, he's just that dude. He's that guy. And he was like, I watch his situation. I'm like, that would be what I would. That's the perfect type of situation. You run everything and people look to you like, what should we do? And you give them actually sound advice and have changed their lives and they respect you for it.
Well, that's like the nom stuff. That's how he gets there. And that's kind of how you got there. Like you do things. Male people don't know this, but men and women are not the same. And like they may say lip service to it, but they don't understand how deep that runs. Like for example, self-confidence.
Yeah.
For women, self-confidence is like they can make babies, so they kind of have an intrinsic worth. So you just have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And so they tell that to guys, and that doesn't work for guys.
Doesn't work. Guys got to do things to get that.
Yeah, you do something that gives you confidence, and use that confidence to do bigger things.
Yeah.
It's like a feedback loop, and most guys don't do that.
And that is something that I didn't realize either. I thought because like I've been raised around lesbians, mother, sister. My sister's lesbian too. It's crazy.
I hate to say it, but it sounds like a flex when you're like, I was raised by lesbians.
It's not, bro.
It's like Woody Harrelson and Money Train.
It was butch lesbians. It wasn't like
oh, not the lipstick ones. It was that sucks.
Nah, lesbians who want to be dudes. That's the kind of lesbians I was around. My mother was like the most feminine, but she was like, she's like me. She dressed like me. Like,
Mom, your friend stole my flannel shirt again.
Like that's exactly what it was. Leather jackets. Like she's a biker boy, and it's like she was. It was wild. But when I was, what was I just saying? I forgot what I was saying
about figuring confidence.
Oh yeah,
confidence feedback.
When I was young, my mother would try to give me the same lessons that she would give to my sister, and my sister now is like the most confrontational. Thinks she can fight dudes, all types of craziness. Because my mother my mother never was a submissive in any situation. If there was a dude talking crazy, it was like, I could take you on, not knowing that there's not even a chance that you could take. My mother was 4'11". There was literally no chance that she could do any damage, but she had this like weird confidence that it was like, because she's a woman, like you won't do anything because I'm a woman. Do? Exactly. And it's like, I can't do that same thing. So my whole life, I'm like, and getting consequences. And it's like, oh, I can't keep that same energy. I had to go to jail for 1.5 years to realize I can't put my hands on people. And it's like, yeah. And because I see my sister, my mother, I've seen people like just actually fight and get into conflict and nothing happened. But since I'm a dude, it's like, I can't live that same life. I had to get myself humbled in order and realize that the value doesn't come from being tough. It comes from being able to be tough if you need to be, but also having value, like being
picking your battles.
And picking your battles, that comes with it.
Having other tools. Yeah, violence is kind of a last resort, so having other tools helps. Here's something else that'll blow your mind. So you know everybody talks about feminism like it's an ideology or religion or whatever. It's not. It's a tactic, man. And you nailed it when you talked about your mom throwing hands.
Yeah.
they weaponize the male protective instinct. Like men never want to hit women. They always want to revere women. And there's a reason for it, like historically, but whatever. And so they take full advantage of that and to get as many things that they want. That's why you have like some feminists are sex positive, some are sex negative, some want to be housewives.
No matter what, it's always just a thin line is that I am valuable and you have to protect me. No matter what, that's always the constant.
And they will drive that fucker into the ground. Man.
And even though I'm an independent woman, you should still be my slave and keep this country running. And I shouldn't have to give you anything. Just be.
I can't fault them either because it works. Like not one guy, no offense to your mom situation, but not one guy threw hands with her. Not one.
Yeah, no, never. Never. My whole life, never, not one time.
Yeah, so why wouldn't she be running her mouth like that?
That's a fact.
It's like that Bill Burr sketch where if it was like socially unacceptable to hit him, he'd be slapping protein shakes out of dude's hands. I love that line.
I don't know which one that is, but I remember when he said that he wanted to shove his wife's face into like fruits at the grocery store, and I was like, when I first heard that, I was like, no, this dude hit the nail on the head. Like you can't, but that's the thought that comes to your head, you know?
Yeah.
But I was talking to Mo about this a couple of months ago because all these things, like I said, you think about it enough, and then things click with you. Because I was super liberal and be like men and women equal, and it's like not even true in my head. I realized now when I was saying it, I was like, I didn't even believe this. It was just rhetoric that I was repeating because that's anything
almost
you
like
can
you're
do,
trying to convince yourself.
Yes, legit. And it's like, oh yeah, I was raised by a single mother, and it's like so many things in my life were affected by that. If it wasn't the case, I'd probably be in a better situation. But I was telling Mo, I was like, women have like a wild superpower that people just overlook. Like men can't do what women do. Over time, women, they have convinced men, like you just said, to protect them unconditionally, no matter what. You can sit around, do nothing, get pregnant, and have babies, and we will sit here and fight all of your battles. And it's turned into even women that we don't even know. Like it's just we just protecting all women in the grocery store. A woman swinging on dudes over and over. That dude goes, "Get out of here!" And they're like, "Nigga, don't touch the fucking. What are you doing? Don't touch this girl. What are you doing? Fight me!" And it's like, you probably beat your wife. Like, shut up. You're in here acting crazy. You probably beat your wife. We know how this works.
Dude, I used to see it. I was I was raised on a ranch. Had cattle, redneck bars. Or one bar, you'd love this. It had the Confederate flag, the Canadian flag, and hay bales everywhere. Like that was like Roadhouse. And I remember
Confederate flags. That's wild.
Dude, at least I know. And in Canada, it's like that means nothing.
That's
like
what I'm thinking. Like, what is that?
Yeah, right by the Botswanan flag. But like every weekend, some redneck chick would get drunk, and it was like, you know, when you hear like that siren, you know the police are coming. It's like the equivalent of that. But she's like, my boyfriend can kick your ass, and I'm like, oh shit. Grab your drink, it's time to go, because some dude's going to get into a fight because his woman ran his mouth and he didn't have the heart to tell the other dude, I'll handle it.
Yeah.
Go take care.
Yo, me and Mo were just talking about that because someone put up a clip of Steven Crowder talking about Candace Owens because she called him a bitch. If you saw it. She's like, yeah, Steven Crowder, that's a bitch move, And he was like, he basically said she's the type of chick who he can't do anything to her, so she'll get her boyfriend beat up because she pops off the dudes like she's the one who's gonna have to fight the battle. And Mo was like, "Did you hear Steven Crowder threaten her boyfriend?" And I was like, he made a point. He made a point that she's the type of chick that, and Mo has done that too. I remember we were just driving into our house, and there was a car that like did something. She was like, "Fuck!" like out the window, bugging. I'm like, you don't have to fight this battle, and you out here screaming. Like, you should know better. I should knock you out for that. Like, you don't have to deal with consequences.
So there's this guy Royce. He's as old as Rollo in this space. He kind of left after a while, but I don't know if you know him. He has a great essay on this one that guys were learning about like 10 years ago called "Who Bitch Is This?" Yeah. And it was at like a Street Fighter conference or something like that. And this guy beat the other guy, and he started like, you know, flexing on him, doing the end run dance. Yeah. And then this one chick starts fighting him out of nowhere. And he was going to turn around to throw down on her, and then you realize, oh, it's a chick. Yep. And it was the funniest thing because he just kind of held her back, like by the neck with his hand to keep her away. And he's like, "Hey, whose bitch is this?" And it was like such a great, wonderful point that it's like, who's here to threaten an ass whooping that gives her this much like confidence in her life? Yeah.
Who does she have that's gonna fight for her? But that's the thing. Like, it's got to the point where, like you said, it's just weaponized. Every man will jump in. Maybe not in a situation like that, but my sister, multiple times, I've seen her swing on dudes, get yoked up, and then be like, "You put your hands. How dare you hit a woman? I'm calling the please, after she like hit him with a weapon or something. Like
Yeah.
that's the type of thing that I've seen my whole life, and I don't fall for it. I don't fall.
Oh yeah, these hands are rated E for everybody. Isn't that what they call it?
Mo, she slips up sometimes, but most of the time I'd be like, girl, unless you got a gun to shoot these people, you better watch them out, because this is a fight that you can't win. If you get yourself into some crazy shit, I can't even stick up for you, because I'd be like, you don't care about my safety. Like,
yeah. Well, that was always my joke too with when I was dating in high school, and that it was always, if you ever do that to me, he gets one free hit first. And that was usually enough to calm shit the fuck down. That's it.
You need to learn something from this. You need to take some kind of consequences from this.
And I technically learned that from the old pickup guys who were like, how do you handle a girl that walks up to the bar and asks you to buy them a drink? You're like, you get the first round, I'll buy the next two. And then any time waster will leave you alone after that. And any girl who's into you will buy that first round.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, why can't that work with hands? I won't defend you, but I'll avenge you.
Exactly. Like, if you get yourself into the fight and you get knocked out, after that, I'll step in. But you're getting knocked out first, because you're not just gonna run your mouth. That's not happening.
I think that's what people miss too, is a lot of these things. Just understanding the consequences are usually enough to de-escalate the situation.
Absolutely. That's why I am so big on accountability. Like
look at you.
I've always been. I used, no matter what. Even if I was like super liberal, super whatever, I always took the consequences to my actions. Just naturally, I have something in my head that's like, deal with it because you did it. Like, if you can't do the crime, if you don't want to do the time, don't do the crime. That's a thing that is always stuck in my head. I don't even feel, it doesn't feel right to pass the buck to someone, because I feel like it's gonna come back. Like it feels like karma is a boomerang in that sense.
You'd have been a good sailor.
Accountability.
Like, really? I was a naval communicator, which is like top secret communications, and that risk assessment is like a big part of the job.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was working corporate and information security, doing the whole 6-figure in a suit every day thing.
Yeah.
That attitude right there is something that, like, there's a whole job of people just designed to teach corporate people to do that, as opposed to like fucking up their multi-million-dollar companies.
Yep.
You did pretty solid on that. Just give it some fancy language, call it a TRA instead of karma, and you're basically good.
Like, see, I feel like that's another thing that maybe I don't know if it's I can't
Spit
even
it
like,
out, God damn it.
I can't even. I think my mother, like, even though she was wild, she always stressed that type of thing. Like, if you're gonna do something, you're gonna have to deal with the consequences regardless. Even though she didn't take accountability for her own actions, she made sure that I understood that, which was like a gift in reality, because it makes me not do some things, because I'm not ready for the consequences of some things.
Ooh, I got to do a segue now. Speaking of not doing some things, I love you haven't seen these yet. You're going to love these.
Okay.
Boom. What's up, fam? Got some big news to share that unfortunately is not so good. So I'm going to jump right into it. You're going to watch this video and you're going to cry. At least we can laugh at your eyes as you cry, like in the corner, like a little girl in the fetal position.
Ian, not Ryan Stone. I think he's the most important guy in the world. Ryan Stone. Give a about Ryan Stone. Me and him have gone back and forth. Blah, blah, blah. Ryan Stone does not pass the 6-foot test. He's not even a man. So I don't give a Ryan Stone.
No way to say that you're insecure, man. No way to be insecure and be like, oh, he doesn't matter, but I'm about to dedicate a segment to him. Like, you were supposed. He's like supposed to be the most famous dude in the world. That's crazy. Yeah. I wouldn't even, if I was him. I'm like, obviously people are gonna be talking shit. So clearly, whatever you said, like it hit him. It hit him differently than the rest.
Well, it's narcissism. Actually, here, speaking of which, the whole red pill space, like the real one, not the white claw shit.
Yep.
That's what it's about. You learn about narcissism, and everybody thinks that's just like a bad thing, right?
Yep.
It turns out it's just the male behavior, male mentality. Yep. And it's on a bell curve. There's healthy amounts of it, and then there's an extreme unhealthy amount of it.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people, because men and women are the same, you assume that any amount of it has to be bad. So you basically shed everything that makes you good. The reason I bring that up is because most of these things, like every time somebody talks shit about me on the internet, I make an advertisement for my podcast.
That's genius. That's genius.
Yeah, and that's why I laugh, because everybody still thinks I'm like, you're such a hater. It's like, not really. Like, no, I'm watching this every day. I don't care.
You clearly are not a hater. You are just in a space where there's a bunch of frauds. That's like, there's how,
but there,
if you are completely right when everyone else is wrong, you're gonna look like the hater or like the bad guy until this shit unwinds and exposes themselves, which always will happen.
Oh, I've been vindicated as hell. That's years old, man. This is before he was ever a thing.
Yeah, see?
But here's the point, like narcissism. So it turns out if you have a pathological level of it, it has like a thing to it. You have to, you make up an identity. That's why like everybody always has to call themselves this. Like woke was one example, sure, like the social justice and all that shit, but conservatives, tradcons, they all have the same thing.
Yep.
And because they didn't earn it, like you earned your identity now, like a YouTuber, because you put in work, you put in effort, you're good at it, you know you're good at it, you've gotten the results, you got paid. People, imagine yourself before you even started your channel calling you a YouTuber as like your identity.
Yeah, without actually putting any of the work.
That's a pathological level of narcissism. And then once you make that identity, everything around you is like a set piece. So for example, I don't know, let's say YouTubers had a specific type of wife, right? You would make sure that your girl, like, they wear white heels, so you got to put on white heels. Doesn't matter if she's like fat or ugly or a man or whatever. It's like, no, just fit the archetype.
Yep.
And so she's no longer a human being. She's like a set piece.
Yep. Accessory
set
to
piece
your
for your
identity. Yep.
And then she has to fuel you as fuel. And everybody has to fuel it. Even if you hate somebody, as long as you're feeling their little narrative identity.
Yep.
Now, the reason I get these guys pissed off is because I basically call the identity bullshit. You disregard it. And that causes something called narcissistic rage.
It hurts them the most.
Yeah. And they don't know why it hurts because they haven't like this stuff is all subconscious. So what you do is you tend to lash out. And that's why with Walshy's thing, it was he doesn't think it's masculine. Like I never said that, but that's the only way he can process it because otherwise he has to address
because your Manosphere, he has to like throw it's more of that collectivism shit. Like, oh, he's part of this group, so he automatically agrees with them when really you are just an individual making an observation. But it has to be their rationale has to be, nah, he's this, he's hating because I feel like I'm this, but it's like, no, you just can't even take criticism on your actual situation.
Well, he's not even aware of the thing being criticized. And that's why I like them. Cause they're just like some pithy little, guys yelling at him. That's awesome. But there's actually a lesson in there for guys. Cause in everybody's life, if they aren't switched on, like you, for example, they're going to make these mistakes. They're going to think like 1980s America was a great example. Like like I've worked in the steel mill my whole life and then they shut it down. These guys lost that identity of like, I take care of my family. I just work hard and pay whatever.
Couldn't even.
And that's how they all got hooked on Oxy because psychologically they basically got what's called zeroed out. Your whole identity gets crushed.
You're nothing.
And then once they started putting Oxy through there, guys were like making up fake pain so they can get this. It's really damaging.
That's wild. I never actually even thought about it like that because they're literally holding on to everything by defending that criticism, by going against that criticism. It makes them, because if it actually
hurts
penetrates
your core of who you are, who you think you are.
You are nobody if it actually penetrates.
And if you actually built up who you are through effort and not just believing in yourself,
bounce off.
It bounces off.
Yeah.
I actually had a joke about that. Don, you remember Mad Men, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember Don Draper? Everybody's like, oh, he's the coolest. He was like the greatest guy to use as your pickup artist example ever. But like, I remember him was Dick Whitman. And every time somebody called him Dick on the show, he'd cry like a bitch.
Yeah.
But I remember also in an interview, he was John Hamm. He's just John Hamm.
Yeah, John. Yeah.
And somebody was talking to him as if he was Don Draper. And he looked at him weird. He's like, you realize that's just a character I play, right? Like his identity was actor because he acted. His identity wasn't Playboy Don Draper. And so when you attack him for it, he just looks weird.
Why would it actually affect him if that's not him? That's actually that right there could end any argument that any of these people say, but people don't listen to that part. It's
hard.
Yeah.
Well, that's how come you knew about Fresh and Fit before you knew about anything else.
Facts. That's literally how it went. I remember there's another creator, mediocre tutorials and reviews. I watched the video from him, and then it went boom, Fresh and Fit started showing up, and I went there, and then it was like, oh, this is like, as I'm watching it, I was like in the beginning, I'm like, oh, Myron's actually pretty smart, and then it just like as it goes, their ego just gets crazier and crazier as it goes, and it's like, oh, this is like these people are just like everybody else. They're just clout chasers. They're hopping on a train. This dude was a Fed before. Fresh was like a whatever he said. Like these people ain't even anything they're saying right now. And then things get exposed. Oh, they were asking me for that other guy was like, they were asking me for tips and all this. And I'm like, bro, these dudes are just completely frauds. Like, how
Yeah.
could you listen to something like that?
Well, they
could
want to be. It's not that they
regurgitate.
even think they're frauds; is that they believe it. They
Yeah.
believe their own hype, and so
Yeah,
when
facts.
something attacks it, they're going to lash out.
And then,
But
you
this
see
is the
that
red pill
vein
I
in
knew,
Marion's
because
head.
like there's tons of guys way smarter than me that came up with a lot of this stuff. I just
Yeah.
kind of took the ball and ran with it and experienced it.
yeah,
And that's what's hurts, because like for 10 years it's been guys, I've seen nothing but guys do this for everything.
yeah.
How do you keep
thought
your
it was
bedroom
new.
lively with your wife after she gets pregnant?
Ooh,
Like
bro.
questions like
I
that.
really thought this was new.
What's that?
Hold on, say it again. You kind of like chopped up a little
Oh,
bit.
my
at
bad.
the second there.
Yeah, like some
Like froze for a
situation. It's always situations like we just had a baby and our bedroom just died off. How do we fix that? And then guys,
Yeah, yeah.
turns out it's like, yeah, make sure you sleep with your wife right after dinner in the second trimester, and then there's a whole rationale behind it.
Yeah.
But it was always practical solutions to things. How do I get a girl? Oh, just go talk to her, bro. Okay, how do I talk to her? Okay, well, here's her openers. Here's how you talk to her. And then when you get there, like, how do you have frame? And it was all practical. It was all boring. And a lot of it didn't work, but some of it did. Then eventually it kind of gets refined.
Yeah.
Just really, and that's another reason why I pick on these guys too, is because a lot of it is just like, you make me look bad.
Yeah.
Like, really bad.
I always see you saying like we're bringing back these talking points from this year, and I'm like, I thought this shit was like from 2019. I didn't know that there was like any type of past in this.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that's
the
like,
whole...
I
the worst part
wish
too?
I knew. What'd you say?
Rolo, the guy, he's been around longer than me. So I'm like, oh, that's totally 2012 Manosphere talking points. And he's like, actually, that's 2007, dude.
1940.
And I'm like, what the fuck? He'll
See,
bring
that's
up names I've never even heard of. I'm like, Jesus.
Rolo been around for that long, like that, huh? That's
Yeah, well, he
crazy.
was, I think in the early 2000s, back when like Mystery was a thing. I don't even know if you know who
I
that
remember
is, but
No, I remember Mystery. Yeah, from VH1. I
yeah,
remember
he
the
was
pickup
just a
artist.
forum moderator in this place called So Suave, which is like the pickup artist forums that kind of
Yep.
latched onto the just before the show became big.
Wow.
And he was just one of the moderators in there talking, because he was like an 80s rocker. You know, that's why he's got the
looks
long
like
hair
it,
and all the
yeah.
guitars and that. And he used to play
Yep.
some pretty big gigs. And then he got married. And after that, he just took an interest in it. And he had a degree in evolutionary psychology. And so he made that
Really?
connection between the stuff evolutionary psychologists came up with and pickup artists. And he found out there was so much overlap. He just kind of put it together, and then everything kind of clicked. And that's how it all went from there.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
wild. I thought it was just like, hey, yeah, we're just gonna put this guy on the show, and just I didn't know there was any backstory to it at all.
Oh yeah,
was-
he's
I
been
thought it
around
was
for
like
a
a
hot minute, like 20
spur of
years.
the moment
That's why
thing.
he and Dr. Jeff Miller always have beef on the internet. I don't know if you
I
even
didn't
know
even
that
know
one.
Mystery was around. I didn't know he was still around right now.
Yeah,
He's still
well,
on the internet.
he knocked up a chick and then he disappeared for a while, and he came back like 5 years ago, but I think he kind of never really got big again. So I don't know what he's up to now.
Yeah.
I know Neil Strauss, the guy who worked with him, he's got this weird scenario with like a bunch of chicks at his house that are some poly shit. I don't even know.
The hell?
Which I know, and it's weird. I don't mind, because I don't like the idea of having like, you know, cheerleaders or gods that you pray to or anything. Just
Yeah.
like the body of work that matters. I don't care if the people are generous, as long as they get things
Yeah.
done.
That's another thing I've been trying to like manifest in myself, because this
Ideas,
whole
not people, you mean?
yes, exactly, separating the art from the artist in every aspect. Like people,
I too like the Cosby Show, now that you mention it.
an R. Kelly, I believe I can fly.
Yeah.
It's like I've fallen for the shit where it's this person says something I disagree with. Now their entire catalog is in question, and like just totally disregarding the fact that they could be the top tier in that lane. And it's like, nah, that doesn't matter because they said something I don't believe in, and they're human beings. And like I have to remind myself that I just a few years ago was super liberal, Black Lives Matter supporter, all this. So
Oh, you helped them buy that house? Good for you,
yeah,
man.
I sure did, bro. I sure did. Gladly. It was wild. I was like on the internet arguing with people crazily about it. Like, you don't understand. Like white lives are just like, it was like I was on another level, bro. On the Facebook, just arguing with random people. But it's
I don't
like,
mean to laugh. It's just kind of funny.
It's funny. It's hilarious. I need to like really tell this story for real, like in a video, because I was like, Facebook, they have a thing where they like put you in a group,
yeah,
like a political affiliation, and I saw like Google ad on it, and I went or Google headline and like went and checked what it was, and it was like it said radical liberal. That's what it said, and it was like,
oh boy.
yeah, and I had no idea. I'm like, oh, okay, I think that was a badge of honor at the time. Now it's like, damn, I can't believe that was me, because in reality, I feel like I've always been who I am now, and I was being like molded by everything else. And then once I really start just believing and saying what I believe in conviction, I'm much more in harmony with myself now, you know.
Well, dude, you know what's funny? That's you're talking about like men and women differences. That's the other difference.
Yeah.
Men will always talk about ideas, and women will always talk about people.
Yeah, that's
and then when you're separating the artist from the work, that is technically a evolved masculine trait, because we had to. Back when we were cave people, men had to hunt, and if you hunt, you can't believe in yourself because that elephant will just gore you. So you have to believe in that proper hunting. And collaborate with other guys. And women were just part of like that safe group that was picking berries. So all they had to do was make sure the group never kicked them out, because getting exiled was a death sentence for them.
Yeah.
So they didn't need reality. They just needed consensus.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, she picks berries really great, but she's kind of a bitch. Let's kick her out of here. And that's why they're terrified of that shit. But as a guy, it's like, dude, I don't care what you do. The fact that you saved my ass from that tiger means we're cool.
Legit.
That's like
wow. That's like, I never really, I don't know to the extent that growing up in a single mother household, like really the effect that it had on me. I realized every day more and more how the way I was thinking was totally just, it was indoctrination from my mother, basically, you know, like she taught me some good things, but most of the things that she taught me didn't benefit me in life. And I had to break free of these habits in order to actually make any progress at all. And it's like, I realized, like with the separating the art from the artist thing, if you really think about it, we wouldn't have any of the advances that we've ever had, because everyone has shit that you're not going to like about them. Because you don't like that, you just totally throw away their industry changing idea, life changing idea, and that should
medicine
that's retarded if you do that.
Oh, retarded. I love it. Medicine, hypothermia. Do you know the only reason we know anything about hypothermia is because of those Japanese, like Area 751, when they were torturing Chinese people in Shanghai?
No, see,
everything we learned about hypothermia was basically torture.
That's crazy. You see, like that's a great point, because we were just talking about yesterday. We were talking about like Kanye. I don't want to go too crazy, but Kanye was saying, and everyone's like, if you really want to have the hatred that you're saying Kanye should have, then don't use this, because it all came from these people, and you want to separate it when you are the one who's appreciating what came from that. But when he just says, yeah, no, I appreciate this about it, it's like, oh, he's this. And it's just when it's convenient, and realizing things like that makes me be like, I'm just gonna stick to my guns, separate the art from the artist, and that's gonna be what it is, because it just doesn't make sense to be trying to fit into like these bottles,
pandering to other people.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
Well, honestly,
it's uncomfortable.
I don't disagree with Kanye. Like, I think his issue, and I think Crowder even said this, was that like he knows what he knows, but he isn't able to articulate it well enough.
That's what it is.
So people, it's very easy to misinterpret. So I get that. Or maybe like he assumes they are coming after him when it turns out there's like a specific group of people who are they, but it's not some, dude in a war room somewhere smoking a cigar.
Yeah. That's the reason.
But like, you can't condemn a guy just because he's inarticulate.
That's if you were condemning Kanye, you're condemning me, because I can't get a sentence out. If you watch me on my live stream, if I'm trying to say something, it goes a million different places before I get to the point. And you could take all those things as gospel, and you would be like, this dude is an idiot if you really wanted to. But I just don't know how to articulate myself as good as I should be able to, because I was a rapper for 15 years. I don't know why I can't, but
it's gonna be a lot of allegory and metaphor. Most good rappers tend to be able to do that, put things together in ways you haven't considered.
That's one thing I can do well. I like if we're in the middle of a conversation, I can come up with the one-liner. I can do that easily. But if I'm trying to explain something, it's like I'm better at texting. I'm better at like writing that down, and that's why I'm starting to write scripts for my videos and things like that, because that's when I can. Yeah.
Speaking of which, a great resource for this, I know you didn't ask, but if you're ever interested, it's there's two. Simon Lancaster has a speech writing book on it. He writes like a lot of political ones, like Obama stuff, so he's really good at it. And then another one from Stanley Fish called How to Write a Sentence and How to Read a Sentence.
Let me write this down.
Because when I first started writing, it was because the military. I had been doing military messages for like my adult life.
What was the first guy's name? Hold on, my bad.
Yeah, I'll put him in private chat, but
okay, yeah, thank you.
So with military messages, they don't even look like English. Like you'll know all the words, but the way they're put together and the abbreviations, it makes no sense. And
It's
so
like
I was
code.
just borderline illiterate. And so I had to learn to write just so I could express ideas. And then I found out that by writing, it helps you think.
Yeah.
And so like I've said the same stuff now that I said like 3 years ago, but because I know how to articulate it better now is because I had to write it down.
Yeah. And you can
brain
say
fills
it
in-
more
yeah.
impactfully.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways,
like,
I'll put here, I need you to run your mouth for like 15 seconds while I put the titles in here.
all right. So yeah, going off of that, when I went to jail for 1.5 years, right? And I was rapping before I went to jail, and I was okay at rapping, but it was way less than what I realized that it could be. And I went to jail for 1 year, and I couldn't record. Like, so I couldn't. There's no mic. There's no nothing in there. So I literally had to just take time just practicing writing, like writing lyrics and saying things the best way. And I learned so much in that 1 year just focusing on writing. Literally, it made me such a better artist. It's crazy. I really say, if you're a rapper, you should probably like somehow go do something, take some time off and focus on really writing and being able to articulate in lyrics, because if it wasn't for rapping, I don't think I would have the open mind that I have. It was me realizing that there's a science to even like things like that. Like I said, like music theory just pops up, and then I find out, oh, that's taught music theory. Where the hell did that even come from? Where'd that thought come from? Just because I was just writing and learning.
Yeah.
Without
even the
anything.
subtext, like cadence, pacing.
Yes, exactly.
When do you say something super long and fancy? When do you keep it short and simple? I love all that
Yes,
stuff.
exact. That is legitimately the thing. It carries on to everything I do. Everything I do. The way I write rap, the way I've figured out how to write raps, it carries on to every part of my life, because you're learning like processes and formulas. Basically, it's like order of operations or something, like scientific. What is it?
You're learning the human condition.
Yeah, literally.
And you're able to do it better because everybody can feel it, but nobody can really talk about it.
Yeah.
That's why you're in front of the mic and everybody else is watching you, sending you super chats.
Yeah. And I didn't even know. I would be like, when I started with reactions to music, and I would just be listening to a song because I'm a rapper, I can kind of like be like, oh, he did this, he wrote this like this, and I can appreciate the artistry of it and the lyricism. And I would be like, oh, that was cool how we did this, and made all these different connections that are easy. They're just obvious to me, and I'm just recording it. And people would be like, wow, like you broke this down in a way, because I, like I said, I don't articulate myself well, which makes me more relatable to the layman, honestly, because I can break things down, just they don't sound articulate, but I can get the point across. And that,
well, if you get the point across, it's articulate. Just because you're not using fancy $10 words.
I guess that's true. That is true. I have a lot of stutters and rewinds though in my talking.
Oh, that part.
Yeah. Like if you see my edited videos from before, if you go watch an old video, it's like I don't make it through a sentence without jump cuts the whole time, because it's like it's ridiculous.
Oh, dude, the military ground that out of my system. They actually teach you about that. They make you stand there in front of all of your peers and lecture, and then your peers just sit there for an hour roasting you on all your verbal tics. You fiddle with your fingers. You keep saying the word, whatever. You keep doing this, you keep doing that, and they just roast you, and you're like, Jesus.
I say like so much, and I realize at like the end of at the end of the sentence, I'm like, I just said that shit like 6 times, and I just said it 4 times right there.
Yeah,
it's something that I think that would actually help. Is that a pup?
Yeah, it's my little dog Chomsky, Italian Greyhound.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen your dog. Yeah, I seen your dog before.
Anyways, keep going. I'm listening.
Small ass greyhound, but what was I just saying? I forgot what I said.
About saying like.
Oh yeah. So I'm a firm believer that shame and shame is a great motivator. So that actually makes sense that would be what they do. Like have you sit there and have people this, and just tell you what you're doing wrong. Because when I started rapping, I was on forums, rap forums, like. People were not using forums before. Facebook and Reddit made it big, but the forums that I was on, no one was even talking about. It was like some weird, like 200 people on there. And I learned how to rap on there. Like I learned the technical ability to start, and I would record like a fucking verse and a hook and upload it there. And they'd be like, you suck. You are terrible.
And
like,
tell you in great detail why.
Yeah. Like your voice sucks. You sound like this, like da 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 da. And I would be like, okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is gonna impress y'all, and that happened for years, for like 5 to 7 years, and it eventually put me in a different place where I can do it well now. It made me significantly better. Honestly.
And you know what's funny? Nobody else will remember any of that stuff. They'll just see you doing it now, thinking, "Oh, it must be nice just to walk into like what are you at 130? Must be nice to just walk into 130,000 YouTube subscribers."
Yeah, that's what people think. That's why I be saying, if only people knew what sets me apart from these other people, because it's those years of obsessing and being told I'm terrible at things and trying to learn to present myself in a more visually appealing way, and all these things. It took a lot of failing and roasting. People would be like, these piercings. I used to have my cheeks pierced. I used to have my bridge pierced, labrae, nose, and face tattoos. People were like, you look like Pinhead from Hellraiser. People would say crazy things to me. Like, people would make memes and put pins in my head on the memes, and I'm like, damn, bro, I was just trying to express myself.
I loved Hellraiser too, so I was almost like,
I kind of leaned
into
bad.
It.
Yeah,
just
I kind of leaned into it a little bit.
Start throwing yourself in whiteface there. You get that whole extra audience involved. It'd be perfect. Giving weird speeches about pain that go nowhere.
For real, though. Like, it wasn't really a diss, but it was just like, damn, can I live? Can I do my thing without being roasted?
Plus, the other thing too, right? You got to get a thicker skin.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's another thing.
At least theirs was like on point. Like, I know there's a lot. I'm sure you see this now, where a lot of people shit on you, but it's not you they're shitting on. It's their own projection of what they think you're talking about. So much.
That's the most common thing on the internet. People like putting me in some kind of box and making weird assumptions about the things I'm saying, and I'm just trying to be. When I say the things I say, I think about it from the point of view like, okay, if someone was gonna have a problem with this, how would they diss what I'm about to say? And if I'm like, that shit's gonna sound crazy, people could actually say something, I won't say it. I'll just think about it, reword it in a way so then it's like, you really can't. If you say something, it is most likely projection, because I'm really thinking about.
You've already sorted out the valid criticism.
Exactly.
My favorite one in the last like couple months was like Rolo. He talked about he just had 25 years with his wife.
Yep.
And then somebody called him an incel in there.
Like, how, bro?
I know.
What the hell?
Like, do you even know what these words mean? It's like when everybody was calling each other cucks there for like 6 months. You don't even know what the word means.
Cringe. That was cringe. It never caught on for me, and I mean, I get it, I guess, but it's like when people will, if you say something that people disagree with, they'll be like, well, they'll just totally act like you're just the most ridiculous, dumb. I can't believe you would have that opinion. And it's just as much of an opinion as the thing that they're saying. But for some reason, it's automatically you're just like a idiot.
It's dismissal, man.
Yeah. And
that's all it is. I need you to shut up and make me feel better, you son of a bitch.
That's it. That's really, if you don't agree with me, you must be the dumbest of dumb. Your family probably hates you. People don't want to be like, people jump out the window just because you disagree with them.
But if they were confident in whatever it is they believe, that kind of stuff wouldn't bother them.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't.
I always
be
make
an
a joke. It's like if a 4-year-old calls you a poopy head, like what do? You
smack
drop
the
kick
shit
her through the drywall. Yeah, smack the shit out of her.
Legit.
No, you
like
rub her on the head and say that's adorable.
Better.
Get out of here.
I like drop kick her through the drywall better than just slap her.
I'm a redneck. If you haven't put holes in the drywall, really, what's the point?
With a kid's head, especially.
Yeah, dude, that's funny. So I was thinking about this too. Totally off topic, but. So you're talking about you were raised with like liberals and lesbians and all this stuff. And you're like an American, colored guy. Meanwhile, I'm basically, I guess mixed, but redneck, raised in there. My stepdad had like a crack addiction for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm just laughing. How do you get the redneck stuff with the flannel wearing lesbians and that? And I have to get like the urban shit with like the crack addictions.
Well,
we're totally off script for this, man.
My mother had a crack addiction as well, so I had that in there mixed.
Dude, that shit's so sour. Yeah, I don't like that smell at all. I don't know how people like it.
It smells like shit, bro.
Yeah.
It smells like shit. I remember I walked in, my mother, she had a crack addiction before I was born and like when I was a baby. The night she went into labor with me, she was smoking crack, which is crazy. And she was like, she laughs about it, tells me like, ha. And I'll be like, you're fucking demonic, first of all.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, that's not a funny story. But she would she quit when I was like, I think I was 6. She went to prison when I was a baby. Then she got out of prison and was on parole or whatever. And I went back with her. And then for 10 years, she was just on like Percocet, Demerol, on that shit. And then her girlfriend, who she was with since I was like 6, broke up with her, cheated on her with some internet person, some person from the internet. And my mother immediately went right back into smoking crack. I was 14 years old. And I'm like,
Jesus.
It was crazy because she was denying it. Meanwhile, we're getting evicted, all these types of things. She's getting arrested. And one time, the way that I actually found out, she denied it for like 2 years. And the way I found out was her and my sister got into a fight one night, and my sister called the cops. They both got arrested. And then my mother came back home and was like, I hate life, being like emotional, ridiculous. Goes in the bedroom, closes the door, and it's like 2 a.m. and she hasn't come out. I'm smelling something, and I go in there, and she had crack on a spoon, and she was like passed out like this. And I'm like, first of all, how you fall asleep on crack? But second of all, like, you're just sitting there with a spoon in your hand, lighter in your hand, passed out, and denying that you're even on crack. And that was like when I first smelled it. I was like, damn, this smells like shit. How are you even? What are you even?
I woke up, went upstairs. I'm like, why do I have a headache? And what the fuck is that smell? And then stepdad was up there telling a story about how he was assaulting a dude. I was like, Jesus Christ.
That's wild.
Yeah.
See,
well, Canada, like, what are you going to do?
Well,
that was the whole thing too. A lot of that,
Canada
like, we used to have a big
that.
lumber industry there. And the same way that American lost all the manufacturing to Mexico and that, we kind of lost all of our softwood lumber to NAFTA.
Yeah.
Cocaine just ripped through the town. Hell's Angels came through. And then once the jobs dried up, cocaine disappeared and crack came in. It was pretty bad.
I didn't even know Canada had crack. I didn't even know you could get crack in Canada. That's crazy.
I still don't know how we did it. I really don't.
That's wild.
Like, as a kid, we had Hell's Angels.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like, most of the toys I played with as a kid, like four-wheelers and dirt bikes and all that stuff, all hot stuff, chopped from the Angels. And my stepdad used our mechanic shop to, like, grind off VIN numbers and shit for the longest time. But as a kid, I didn't find out till I was like 18. And my mom's telling me these stories, and I'm like, what the hell was... And that would explain it, because there'd be all these times where he'd be bitching about the cops would arrest him and they're planting evidence. I'm like, why do they hate you so much? I'm just a kid, so I didn't fucking know. I had a Nintendo, so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm
benefiting when I'm 18.
That's wild. Hell's Angels too. Damn, I remember.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were
Hells
decent enough
Angels
guys. The last time I met any Angels was after basic training.
Yeah.
We went into Kelowna, and my sister was dating a dude, and my sister was high off of something. I don't know. I don't want to. Anyways. And he's like, yeah, I want to take you guys to this party, but your sister's going to get us killed. So we got to find a way to ditch her. I'm like, that's fine. He's like, cool. He bought it was like one of the funniest pieces of advice I ever got. He's like, see this? It's a 1976 Ferrari something or other. He goes, if you buy them from the 70s, they're only like 30 grand. So it's like the cost of a Honda Civic. So now I got a Ferrari. But he's only seats 2. So it was just him and me going. And we went to this party. Hell's Angels were hosting it. Dude at the front looked like Hulk Hogan, I swear to fuck. And I was like, holy Jesus. I was fresh out of basic, so I had like my dog tags under my t-shirt. I was like, hoo-wah.
Yeah.
But then I saw all of a sudden I started clicking like, what's going on? I'm like, wait a minute. And so I'm terrified now. I'm like, dude, they find out they think I'm a Fed or something. But it was pretty chill until this girl started hitting on me. And I'm like, dude, who thinks you're his fucking bitch? Because I don't want none of this.
Fucked up in here.
Yeah, but it was fun. And then I went home the next day and I'm telling my brother this crazy story. And I guess his friend was over watching the news. He's like, hey, did that house have like log panels and all that stuff? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, come here. And we look and there's people getting paraded out by the cops. I guess there was a sting like 4 hours after I left.
Bro, they would be like, it was him. It was
yeah. Oh, dude.
Those cops.
I was like, they were just starting my security clearance for top secret and shit. I was terrified for like 6 months. Even at the end, they had CSIS, like our version of the CIA interviewing me. So like, is there anything else you want to tell us? I'm like, look. Stepdad was doing this. I just need to know if this is going to be a factor. I don't do none of it. They're like, no, it's fine. As long as you're not doing it with the Chinese. I'm like, oh, thank God. As long as it's not foreign terrorists. The domestic ones are fine.
It's hilarious. What's going
But I love
on?
these. I love telling these stories too. I like how you got them. Like, it's a more flavorful life and like you're not naive.
Yeah.
I've never seen you like take somebody at like you automatically get a vibe if somebody's like something shitty's going on there.
Yep.
And I notice a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people were raised too like safe and sheltered.
Yep.
And so they trust too easily and they get hoodwinked.
I feel like that's literally what's been happening to me for like the past few days. Adam Krigler, actually, if you've seen that chick on YouTube, Eliza, whatever her name is, like,
oh,
that whole shit, bro. Adam was like friends with her.
I call her Jack Murphyette.
Yeah, legit. That's what it is. And I believe that's what it is. But Adam is friends with her. So yesterday he was like basically he didn't want to believe it. I'm like, this chick, bro, she's a fraud. There's you don't respond. If she went through all that, why would this video, if it was a part of it, why would she be running from this video? It would make her story more credible, right? She could say, this was a part of it. They had me doing this. Instead, she's banning people for acknowledging the video. Clearly, that's how someone who's paranoid acts. That's how a celebrity acts. It's like a PR move.
That's literally what Jack Murphy did with. I remember literally. I met him 2018. We talked about it in 2019. He was kind of worried about this thing coming up because everybody kept posting the cuck article. And I'm like, look, dude, same as like Eliza, right?
Yep.
You raised a family. You did all the right things. You were a softball little league coach. She divorced you. You got fucked over for it. If you want to live some degenerate shit, then fuck it. You pull in your pound of flesh and you're just like, you know what? I've done all the right things. Let me be a shitbag for 2 months and I'm still a good guy at the end. Instead, he yelled at Sydney Watson and I think he's doing the same.
Yeah. It makes you look like more guilty in reality.
And it's because there's like obviously an insecurity in there too, right? But it's like if you're insecure, you shouldn't have done it.
That's the thing. That's one of the things that I will always stress, especially with women, because women don't have accountability for these type of things. They could be like, let me do this, make this crazy decision. While they're making that decision, people are like, you're going to regret that. You shouldn't do that. I don't care. It's empowering.
You ain't my dad.
And then it's like, yeah, exactly. You ain't my dad. And then it's like, I hate my dad. 10 years later, that's why I did it. It was because I hate my dad. Now, please take it off the internet after I already signed contracts to keep it up. And it's like,
and credit to Adam, dude. If they're friends too, I'm all for it. Like Sterling Cooper, he's a porn star. I work with him too. He's like personal friends with Andrew Tate. Great example. Yeah. You can believe this stuff. You can not believe this stuff. But he's like, you know what? I got my friend's back. I don't care what he did. He's still good to me.
That's what I said to Adam.
Yeah, I was like, respect for that. But then,
I was like, people hate on you, but that is a great quality to have. You're loyal to your friends, man.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to criticize them when they are wrong.
Yeah. Or at the very least say, like, look, that's not my business to say. Like, the courts will come up with that on their own.
Yep, exactly.
Until then, still fine.
That's it. She's my friend. And that's why I said he was saying that, because there was so many comments of people like, Adam, you see, da da da. I'm like, really? I respect it more that he didn't just immediately like, oh, forget this chick. This is when he would be the fake one in that situation. If he just was like, forget her because everyone else says she's bad, that would be crazy. I'd look at him weird if that was the case, to be honest.
It's more than that too. Like, think about the external, like the extra effects.
Yeah.
Like there's you, there's me, there's Zertis, a whole bunch of people that are on the show on the regular. I've been there a couple times. I love going on there. It's so much fun.
That's like my favorite day of the week, man.
But imagine you're looking at that and you see him the instant one of his friends gets in trouble, he just ditches him, throws him under the bus.
I would be uncomfortable, to be honest.
You know for a fact, like, dude, the only reason that I'm not there is just because of like timing.
Yeah.
Like that first photo, the ad I did with the guy with the red hat talking about you're going to cry like a little bitch.
Yeah.
Exactly what he did with Rollo. That's actually how I got my first like little blip on the radar. His name is Anthony Johnson.
I was going to ask you who he was.
Yeah, he was holding a masculinity conference called 21 Convention. And Rollo, I was still working corporate. And he's like, do you want to come and speak at this thing? I'm like, yeah, sure. Fuck it. Why not?
Yeah.
And it was fun. And there was a whole bunch of people, like popular people you may know of, you may not, like Ivan Throne, AJ Cortez, and everybody was giving their speeches. I'm like, oh, this is kind of a neat group of guys. But then all of a sudden, this guy tried hitting on, like, trying to pick up Rollo's daughter behind his back, which wasn't cool. Yeah. But then he was so embarrassed by that, he tried to kick him out of the conference and keep all of the, like, everybody who came there was because they liked Rollo.
He tried to kick Rollo out?
Yeah, and he tried to kick Rollo out, but keep all of his clout. And that's how Hotep and I, like Brian Sharp and I met, because he was invited too. Because he's like, "Oh, I love you, Rollo. Sure, if you say it, I'll trust you." Yep. And then when Rollo got the boot, he's like, "You know what? No, man, I was here because of him. And if you're booting him out, then sorry, I'm gone." And I'm like, it's a stand-up move.
Absolutely. In the long run, you'll get more respect for that, because the fake shit fades, man. It always fades when the outrage and all that, and then people who jump to conclusions can't even be neutral. You're not allowed to be neutral anymore because you've already jumped the shark on your opinion.
Yeah. And it bit them in the ass too, man.
Yeah.
Bit them of course. Well, everybody that was working that stuck with him because they're like, oh, he's going to have better clout or whatever. So that'll be great from a business decision. Within the next 2 years, every single one of them got the exact same treatment. Kicked out, called a traitor, hit pieces, threatening the families, all that shit.
That's how it goes.
So I love parading. Like I will make sure nobody ever forgets this. This is a lesson I never want to forget for myself.
That's accountability, man.
Yeah.
That's accountability. And people really should be taking that. Like, hopefully they make better decisions in the future, because every time that's how it goes. You think making the best decision, like over a integrity, and like that's never gonna work in your favor, because in the future someone's gonna be like, you're flaky. Why would I ever do business with you?
Yeah, that's my only concern with Crowder is, like, granted, like, I'm kind of with him. Like, I get what he's doing, and I'm kind of on his side, but at the same time, am I ever gonna have a phone call with a private conversation with him? Probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real. That honestly, see, that's like the critique about that. I fully understand, because I'm fully on Crowder's side for the situation, just because I know that he's the lesser of the two evils. Even like he still is. He's a $1 million man, bro. This dude he doesn't even know reality. Telling people a 4-day work week is that's burnout, and it's like, bro, people are working like for pennies, doing way worse.
12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
What are you complaining about for 50 million? I don't want to hear it. Clearly, he's lost touch a little bit, but the whole situation to me is it benefits people like us. So I like, it's another time I separate the art from the artist. I haven't watched Crowder in years, like probably like a year and a half. I haven't watched this dude content.
Dude, I haven't watched him since he was. Remember when he and Gavin Vikinis were tight?
Yeah.
That's when I remember seeing him.
Yep.
After that, I have no idea what he's been doing since then.
Same thing. This is the only reason this is the reason I'm even talking about him.
On your radar anymore?
Yeah, I don't have his shit. Don't even come up on my feed anymore, because I'm not into him, because I feel like he, as a person, it makes me not be able to. He has good segments, but I can't just sit there and just hear him talk about things that, like, it's not entertaining like that unless he's giving me value with what he's saying. You know,
I have to ask. Actually, here's a question for you. So in your niche, I don't know if you know, like, how well you network with all the people in, like, the former rapper YouTube commentary type thing. Do you watch anybody's content?
Some people, yeah, actually I do. Yeah.
Really?
For like other reactors, maybe not really. Not
Here, if it
really,
helps,
really,
I don't watch anybody's Manosphere content. I can't stand it. I don't even watch mine.
Yeah, I don't watch my own. I definitely don't watch my own.
Yeah.
But even for reactions, like, I do rap reactions. I think I said I do, but in reality, it's like maybe a one-off here and there. But it's just like keep up with people who are doing the same thing. I don't enjoy people's content like that do the same. My content it's not even for me. It's service to other people, because I already know the thing. I listen to music for years. I've made music. Music doesn't hit me the same as it hits other people.
Well, it's just you're not learning anything from them.
Yeah,
here's what I worry about. Is like, if you watch their stuff, you're going to be influenced. It
influences you, absolutely,
and you'll start hitting their topics. And I'll be here doing stupid MGTOW videos about how women deserve to lose the vote. Or some shit.
You start doing comparisons, comparing yourself. Like, why is this person getting this and I'm getting this? And then I feel like people who they don't have like integrity and thick skin, they will be influenced every time. If someone is excelling at anything in any way, not even necessarily more views, but like, oh, that camera quality is better. Even though yesterday you were just fine with your camera quality. You see the person who's in your same lane, their camera's fine, their camera's fire. You're like, I need a better camera now. And it's like, you just put all this stress in your head when you should be just creating. And that's, people tell me all the time, you should watch this reactor. And I'm like, no, I'll pass. People, they act like I'm an asshole for it, but like, why would I? If they're not going to do a better reaction than me? I've been rapping for almost 20 years. Like, they're not going to teach me anything. Like you just said, I'm not going to learn anything from the song.
Yeah. Oh, dude, what's that one guy? I can't remember what it was. It's like he hates Drake. He's like a shaved head. He's got a mustache.
Oh, Anthony Fantano. Anthony Fantano. Yeah,
that's the one.
That guy, bro. He's a clown. That's a clown, man.
I don't really know him. I just know everybody references him with like, oh, he's got another 40-minute Kanye or hating everything about Drake takedown or something.
He's
like
annoying, man. He to me is like, he's bottom barrel when it comes to music reviews. His opinion cannot be trusted. He's a grifter to me. I hate the word grifter, but he's a grifter to me.
No, I agree. We got a bunch of them too. There's this, I only know of him because a guy I respect, he bought a new like a YouTube TV.
Yeah.
And he's like, it started showing him this stuff because he watched one Rolo show. He's like there's this kid, Tyler the Fiend, and he pretends to be a Southern vampire, and he just watches TikToks of chicks being like thoughts, and he just yells at them. That's why I made like that format, that TikTok videos I do.
Yep.
Because I miss back
Those
in
are
the
the ones
80s
that hit,
and
bro.
90s where like, remember the Man Show and like,
Yep.
where casual misogyny was like fun and playful and everybody enjoyed. I was like, I'll go back to that. Let's
love
watch
those
these
times.
chicks being fucking out of pocket on TikTok and then just have fun with it.
Yes.
As opposed to these guys that are like, you see these bitches? I can't believe this shit.
You can't
Fucking
even
hell!
laugh about
Why do they vote? And I'm just
you
like,
can't laugh about it, anything like that. That's I feel like if you put comedy into it, you make it a good time. Your message will be much more effective than just being volatile like that. Honestly, I feel like
some
when
of
you
the shit
add
is
the
just
fun
ridiculous,
to it,
man.
it is.
Oh,
There's so much crazy shit. TikTok is a content creator's dream if you are just gonna go through things and respond to it, because it just gets gradually, exponentially crazier, regardless of what niche you're looking at. It will get exponentially crazier every time.
And I know for a fact, like how many, because I remember we did this thing on OnlyFans where everybody's like, every girl's an OnlyFans chick now. Everybody's a whore. You're fucked.
Yeah.
Then you go into OnlyFans, like how many content creators do they have?
Yeah,
Something
they're
like
not even
300
showing their fucking. A lot of them ain't even get naked.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's like pro wrestlers on there and that, but assuming everyone on there is showing their asshole for clout, they put out a thing like 350,000 content creators.
Yep.
That's it for OnlyFans.
Yep.
There is 350 million Americans, 40 million Canadians. Europe is another billion people. Out of all those people, a third of them are kids, a third of them are old people, like, people in the fucking age of their lives.
Yep.
So 350,000 people is like a percentage of a percentage of
That's
a percentage.
small as hell. Absolutely.
But because that's all you see,
That's
of
what I
course
was
you're
gonna
going to
say.
assume. And if you've never like talked to a girl in real life, well, all
Yep.
girls are clearly like this. It's like, no, they're really not.
And it went from being more and more girls like this to now, it's every chick, which it's really not, because most of the people that be in my live streams and shit, there's so many people who are using the internet passively just to watch things. So
everybody just finger fucks their phones.
Yeah, like most people don't even have default pictures. So it can't be all chicks, because there's plenty of chicks on the internet who are just not even showing their faces. It's the ones that you see that are the most clout thirsty, that are like, oh, it's every one of them in reality. Like maybe not every one of them, but majority of these girls that are that clout thirsty, but that's why you're seeing them in the first place. Even
if you've got a healthy dating life, you'll meet one or two.
Yeah.
And they'll teach you a good lesson. God
most
knows
people I know
I've
ain't
met
on
my
OnlyFans.
crazy bitch lessons.
Me too, bro. Me too. Me too. That's why Mo, like, she was a good chick, because the contrast was crazy. The chick before that was ridiculous.
What do you want to do this weekend? I want to watch the new Top Gun at home and then go to bed at 9. You're great, honey. Dude, I'm with you. I love it. Everybody's like, I want excitement in my life. I'm like, no, I want a boring C-SPAN lecture of a life.
Let me chill.
I want a Jordan Peterson lecture of lives. That's it. I'm done. No more pirate hunting. No more fucking angels. Nothing.
Nah, yeah, that's stress, bro. It's legitimate stress.
Yeah.
I think about it in a way where even when me and Mo first got together, I was still not ready to like actually like be where I'm at right now. Even though I wanted to be, I was just being affected by everything else. And she was
a good
constant
influence. And that was like the first one. So for you, that was the rare
whole time. Yes. And it worked out perfectly, which just proved that she was cool the whole time, like, because it was.
Actually, can I ask you a question? You don't have to answer it, but I'm going to ask it.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay. When you guys were dating, obviously one of you was pushing for exclusivity or for more from the relationship.
Yeah.
Did she kind of have to drag you into the relationship, or were you there like trying to wife her up?
So
I have a guess, but everybody knows what it is. So you tell me first and I'll tell you my guess.
So I'll say I'm the exact opposite of wifing up, because I don't trust these ladies out here. So it's like I liked her and we were together a lot, but it was like I had to let her know she could be replaced the whole time. And she was trying to get exclusive the whole time.
You're so red-pilled, you don't even know it.
This was before I even watched the red pill thing.
Yeah, my guess was like a relationship is a woman's job.
Yeah.
It's Briffault's Law. It's an old thing from the 1800s, like Evo Psych stuff, where a woman defines the animal relationship. So if she wants a relationship, she'll have one because she's invested.
Yeah.
And so most guys I've seen who are happily in relationships, their girl almost had to like fucking cry and bawl and snot bubbles to get him to say I love you and shit. And they drag him into a relationship kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
And then as the guy, you make the decisions like with my girl, same thing. I had been dating her off and on with other girls for like a year.
Yeah.
And I realized in that whole time she was the only girl I knew, didn't have a single red flag, didn't do anything to piss me off. I was like, fuck, that's commitment, man.
Same. This is literally the same thing. That's the same exact thing. I was all over the place, bro. I was my old girl. Like I had girls all over the place, and she was like, "But I love you. I want to stick around." And I would be like, anything she would do, I'm like, "Yo, I will replace you. If you say hi to a dude out in the street without like looking at me, I will replace you. I need to know that you are really here." And she was just like, she was down, bro. Yeah, she was down.
Okay, here. Speaking of, this is the one other thing. The one of the reason I hate the fresh and fit stuff is, I'm sure you've heard alpha male used before, or beta male, right?
That word. I hate it. If you say that shit unironically, bro, it's wild to say.
I hate it too, because they turn like alpha and beta actually used to be things in the red pill, but it was never about alpha male or beta male.
Yeah.
Alpha was supposed to be anything that makes a girl sexually attracted to you, like anything that makes her wet. And beta was like anything that makes her want a relationship with you, comfort.
Yep.
And that's what it was supposed to be. But then people switched up to be these old good guy, bad guy shit. And it just, every time I hear it, it pisses me off, because now I can't use the term without sounding like a fucking moron.
I was going to say, you're not allowed to say it. You can't say it unironically. You can't. You're not allowed to now because of
and that's the funny thing, because you're
that.
talking about all this dirtbag behavior. And I guarantee you, anybody would say, dude, his girl doesn't deserve him. He was out there sleeping with other chicks. He was treating her like trash. He was ready to replace her. But all of that stuff would be considered alpha, right? It attracts...
that's why she stuck around, bro.
Yeah, that's
reality. That's
it's
really
like literally a prize. It's like, and that's when like you start getting into those weird studies where, you know, when they found out that girls' like top sexual fantasy was like graping, struggle hugging stuff, and that's like, let's not talk about that. Turns out it's the same thing. The girls like that dominant type person, and that taps into them. And there's like a hormonal response that comes with it.
Yeah, it automatically biologically makes them be like, yeah, this is, even if they're taught to like push it away, but then they still want you to continue they respond biologically. Exactly. In public, they'll be like, fuck this dude, but that same night, they'll be all for it.
And it creates anxiety too, and that anxiety is exciting.
Women
but that's
love
the thing. And that's why you kind of need beta as well. Yeah. Was because if all you have is anxiety, sure, the sex will be great, but it's not going to last. The girl will eventually burn out and run off. So there's always those little moments where you have to insert comfort in there. And if you're good as a man to like navigate between the two, then usually girls will try their best to like hold on to you and keep you in a relationship because you're a man that gets it. Even though I don't think you knew you did, but
I was gonna say the funniest thing is that it was just how I do. I was just naturally. I remember my cousin. Just a quick story. When I first started dating, I met Mo.
I love sex stories that start with "See my cousin."
Yeah. You know what's funny is
not that much of a redneck, sir.
In 7th grade, they were dating. That's the funniest thing. They dated. How long you date, babe? They dated for a few months. He said, he said that she said he was turning her into an alcoholic in 7th grade, and that's why they broke up. That was his excuse. But but I met her when I was 19, or got back to meeting, like reintroduced to her when I was 19, and we started dating, and we're dating for like a year or two or something like that. And he was dating this chick who was like she was the most crazy chick in the world. He was crying about to like crash cars over her and all this craziness. And then she cheated on him and they broke up. And I was like, bro, your next girl, don't do that. Like, don't this whatever she asked you for, just don't do it, because
he didn't listen.
No, he did. He did.
Oh, he did.
He absolutely did. And it was like, it was day and night. And what ended up happening is he couldn't hold on to it because he couldn't balance the comfort from that
desire.
From the desire. So it was just constantly she was all for it in the beginning, and then after a while she started being like, okay, this dude is just he couldn't balance it. And it was just the funniest thing because it's something that just came natural to me. And I tried to tell him, like, you should be, this chick has you wrapped around her finger, and that is not where a man should be, without even knowing. And it only became that because my girl before Mo I was the same way. It was like, we're young, puppy love, and this chick was psycho, and I would never give another chick that type of energy, because I wish you would.
Well, it's because you saw the consequences.
Exactly, and they were crazy consequences. That's the thing.
Well, that's why I argue there's no naturals. I don't think so. It's just you learned it earlier.
Yeah,
a lot of guys, dude. So many guys now are like still virgins at 25. They've never had a girl. They've never had a relationship in their 30s, mid 30s, and stuff. And so
that's why
for them, they should have learned this stuff when they were a teenager, but now they don't. And that's why, and it's always cringe, but that's why you have to write this stuff down now, because a guy who's 25, he's literally going to have to learn, like, I need the flawed roadmap on how to have good bitch management, they call it.
Legit. And that's why
and you have to give it that like harshness. You have to call it bitch management, because otherwise they want to treat a woman like a princess too much. No, you got to get that little bit of hate in your heart. So
if you don't put that rigidity, women thrive on that rigidity. They love that. Mo, I remember, bro, I think about it now. And Mo was like, bro, she used to like chase me out of parties. We would be at parties with those other girls at the parties. She would like, I remember me and my cousin, we were at a party just chilling. I wasn't even talking to bitch, just nothing. And she pulled up like, where are you? Where is he? She went crazy. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. We gotta go. I got in my cousin's car.
Sounds like that episode of Fresh Prince where Vivian came in and took Will out of that house and was yelling at like Chinese youth lister and shit.
Carlton too?
Yeah.
When Carlton turned into a gangster. That was a great episode. But she was like chasing us down the street, bro. Like I'm trying to get away from her, and she was chasing me. And that was like, I don't think people put it together. Like that type of energy comes because she don't want to lose you, you know? And I could have been there talking to bitches and it wouldn't have mattered. She would have still chased me out that damn party and tried to get to me regardless, just because if girls get content, it's not the same energy, man. It's not.
Well, that's Rolo has that line. It's like girls will crawl through broken glass for that top tier dude.
That's a fact. That is,
you know the fucked up thing. So many guys get that and then fuck it up because they don't know what they're doing, and they think like she was obviously mad. Oh, I hurt her feelings. I can never hurt her feelings. And so they act the exact opposite way because they hate seeing her angry or hate seeing her crying. And then she gets mad and she doesn't know why. So girls kind of lash out on random shit because it's like, she feels what she feels, but she doesn't know why. And so that's where you get shit like, if you did more dishes, maybe we'd sleep together more and I'd be comfortable. And guys will start doing that.
I wish I would.
Dude, you joke, but there is so many guys who like naturally kind of picked it up like you did, but didn't understand why. And then let a girl whittle them down into nothing, like pussy whip them hardcore. And just because they don't realize like, this is what attracted her originally. That's not going to change.
Yeah. Legit. And that's where you get comfortable. And then you start thinking, oh yeah, she ain't going to go nowhere. Bro, I know better than that. So now I've put myself
Again,
in a
you're
situation.
rare, man. I'm telling you, like, you joke, you may think you ain't shit or you're not special, you're not smart, but you've avoided so many things that I've seen so many guys fall for. So many.
I don't even know how. That's the thing. I legit don't even know how. It's just
experience.
I don't like to treat people like they're not human. Like a female is still a human being and she's not special. In my head, I've seen women fart and shit and all be nasty ass people, just like dudes. I grew up with it in my household. These women are the same when it comes to they're not like princesses. They're not what they want to put themselves out.
That's misogyny, dude. the novel. This is why everybody hates red pill guys, for that novel idea that women are human beings.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild. Just to say a woman's a human is misogyny. That's wild.
It boggles the mind. Though. And that's why I don't take Twitter seriously. Like you can't, because all these people are talking shit like this. Yeah. And they sound like insane. And you see it too.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
How can you believe it?
Absolutely.
Most people, like you said, most people don't even have a PFP. They don't even have a profile picture.
Literally.
Like I was thinking this too. Like you got 130 subscribers, 130,000 subscribers. You do live streams. You probably get a ton of people in your chat.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's not 131,000 people in chat. There's maybe like 1,000 people in chat. And of those 1,000 people, probably 80% of them are angry or something, and they talk some shit or they just run their mouth about whatever. Yeah. And a lot of content. Do you notice this too in your niche? A lot of our content creators then will let them drive their content.
Yep.
And that's why they get angry and clownish after a while. They start talking about, fruit fly studies of fruit flies cheating on wives. And I'm not even joking, man.
That's crazy, bro.
There was literally a study that had fruit flies that said female fruit flies kept more than one fly DNA. And so, like, that's why these hoes are cheating. They're trying to make Voltron in their vaginas. I was like, and that's when they listen to their audiences too much. And like, Fresh Fit kind of went that same route where now it's always about, now that's why it's about get that girl drunk off of White Claws and kick her the fuck out the studio.
Every time. Frank Castle. It's like, bro.
That's why that dude came out with a pistol that one time too. Was apparently it was a cousin or a girlfriend they were talking shit to, and he's like, "This is Miami, dude. We don't play this shit."
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They're like, get to the side of the studio. Get to the side. Yeah, I got. I'm gonna save everyone in here. I'm a Fed. I remember that episode.
Yeah,
And
like
then,
Myron's not from the project, so
no,
like he's not ready for that stuff.
He's
so
not.
it was like I just kind of look at my head and like Brian and I were even talking before. It's like, dude, like you can't be playing like this because somebody will fuck you up. Like I hope not. Thing. I really do.
Nah, that's how it goes though. It's accountability. You think you're untouchable, you will be humbled every time. That's how it goes. There's always someone bigger. Always someone
But just
better.
like you with like sex and women and that, you learned that early.
Yeah.
You learned not to set people up to throw down because some will.
Yes. That's the accountability, man. That's it. Everything. I really feel like this country could be fixed if people were just held accountable. Like you said, if they know the consequences, most people will avoid those consequences. And
so
if
like everybody just gets into one fist fight, like the Purge, but
that'll end everything. We'd be good.
Yeah,
that would be.
Everybody can go and fight one person. You got Tuesday the 15th, and then it's done.
We got that out of our system now.
100 million black eyes tomorrow, and like the politics have been solved.
Imagine, like you might be onto something, bro. To be honest.
Well, we did. We used to do that in the military. There was a space on the old steamers, like the ships before my time. They called them Tiller's Flats. Yeah. I don't remember why, but I guess if you and your boss got into an argument that was heated enough, you would go to Tiller's Flats, sort it out,
bro,
and then come back and never say another word about it.
That's a corner cell in jail. That's what you do. You go because the corner cells, they're bigger than the normal cells for like people who are disabled and stuff. But add a corner cell, and they have a door on it rather than it being like a side.
Oh, so a little bit of privacy.
Yeah, like it literally opens like a open and closed door, and you could go in there and do what you got to do, and then you don't talk about it again after that. Because
I bet your shit was sorted out too
every single time because you can't run from it unless you leave the whole unit. And like now you got to live with that forever. People, when you get out, if you ain't in there for life and you PC, that's forever. So you got to do it. It's consequences for your actions. I think jail was the thing that really put that in my head, like fully. Like my mother did originally, but I was still kind of wild. And then I went to jail, and it was like you can't win. You can't beat the guards. So you have to learn humility. If you say something to people who are with you, they will fight you. So you have to either be willing to fight or
willing to let it go,
talk like a normal person. Yeah. Or be willing to let it go. You can't get gully and think that you're going to beat everyone up in jail. Cause even the biggest person will get jumped. Like we had whole unit fights, like literally all Spanish people against all black people. And it was fucking like 40 people just like Michael Jackson beat it. Yeah. It was crazy, man. It was crazy. Jail was wild.
Dance fighting with Jackson. Huh?
Legit. It was wild, but it teaches you can't just say anything. You can't just do it. You can if you're ready for the consequences. You know.
See, that's funny because we have the same bed sheets in the military. Like the one with the blue sheet and the white sheet and that gray fire blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we used in the military. That was my bed too.
Like
so it turns out we just had.
I was gonna say that's the jail. It's like
with that one little like dark blue stripe in the middle of it. Yeah. And
that's flame retardant.
So basically, I was in jail, but with a better paycheck. Fair enough. And a beer machine. I guess you guys don't get a beer machine.
Yeah, we didn't have a beer machine. We had like a poison Kool-Aid machine. It was nasty.
Oh yeah, but we didn't have radiator hooch. Nothing hard. We only allowed beer.
We did, but they were really on top. In the jail that I was in, it was like a supermax jail, and it's in the middle of the city, so there's no outside, and they're like, you can't go into one door without the door behind you being closed. It's like,
oh, so you had like airlocks and shit.
Yeah, everything was just.
What did you do? Did you kidnap the president?
So I was on probation. So this is why I say accountability with women, because when I first went to jail, me and my girl before Mo, like we used to always get into fights and break up and get together, break up and get together. And one day we were living together, and I was like, I forget what it was. She was like not listening or something. It was some shit. And I was like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. This is done. Whatever. And I went to go pack up my shit. And she was like, no, where are you going? Where are you going? And then she like tried to stop me from grabbing my shit. And I was like, don't touch my shit. Don't touch me. Get away. I slapped her hand away. And I packed my shit and I go to leave. She runs out, calls the cops, police station. They come right to the house and they're like, so what happened? And I'm like, so I was told that exact story. And they're like, so wait, you slapped her hand away? Simple assault, you're going to jail right there. Simple assault, any unwanted contact, you're going to jail. And from then I was on probation. And then she would just like, because you're not supposed to be around someone that's a victim. So she'd be like, he's here whenever I would like go cheat or something. Cause I was a wild kid. I was like 15 and they just kept arresting me to the point where it was like, you're going to jail for a while, because she was just throw me in jail every chance she got. And I was in the paper. It was like they made me out to be a demon for this shit. And
you sound like half the
now.
divorce stories I hear, man.
Yeah. It was wild, man. A year and a half for violating a restraining order, being on probation. That's what it was.
Chicks do that too sometimes, just to get
just
custody, better custody of the kids.
And that's what happened. We have kids, and she was like, he's a monster, and we should have visitation through YWCA. And they were like, yeah, go ahead, indefinitely. And then when I got out of jail and I got with Mo, she was like, why don't you just come home and be with me? And I'm like, there was an indefinite restraining order and all this shit because you did this. And she used to show up in my house, bring my kids, which is really, she could put me in jail if she really wanted to. Bring my kids to my house and be like, yeah, now he's talking to me, even though she showed up at my crib. So she wanted like this, but I wasn't going to say, nah, I'm not going to see my kids. Like, bring my kids, obviously.
Oh, I know. It's like a threat point.
Yeah, legit. And it became crazy. And Mo, looking out for me, was like, because she used to try to come over and hang out and be like, yeah, try to.
It was like a third party witness.
Yes. Yeah. Well, no. So she would try to, Mo would go to work, and then she would show up with my kids and then just hang out instead of just dropping off my kids. And Mo was like, why is she hanging out here? And then this chick was like, be with me, da-da-da. And I was like, because she's trying to get me away. She wants me to leave you and get with her. And she was like, okay, well, stop having this chick show up here. And I was like, I mean, it is your house. That's fine. And this bitch is dangerous. I really don't want her around. I just want to see my kids. So I was like, maybe I could work this. And I was like, just drop my kids off, stop showing up. And then she stopped showing up forever, for good. I stopped seeing my kids, all this shit for like fucking 10 years, bro. And I couldn't, no matter what I did, the courts were like, you have a restraining order. You have to go through this and go through this. And I couldn't find her address. This bitch she was crazy, bro. It was a wild situation. Situation.
Most guys don't get there until they do, so they don't learn. All right,
it was all for custody.
My last two clips. I love these ones. Okay. And you're going to see like what I'm talking about with guys that don't know shit. And then we'll end this off. Okay.
I love the way girls smell. I love how they always make sure, by and large, they shower, and they just have an amazing smell to them in general.
One of the guys who ran the Red Pill channel sent me a message. I actually appreciate that you took it from an idea-based perspective instead of ever resorting to personal attack. Like, if this movement is actually going to be dangerous, do we need to understand it so that we can take it down? I knew going into it that this might be a hot mess. I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Speaking of crazy bitch, that was the feminist. Perfectly applicable, kind, polite, little disagreements, but nothing, no voices raised, nothing. Now I'm a fucking cult leader.
Yeah, now I'll never have him over here again. He could have a conversation. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and that first guy, Pat Stedman, he's been my whipping boy for years.
He sounds like
so he hates me.
Gay. I hate to say, like, you can cut that, but that's what it sounds.
I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it.
I'm not gonna lie.
So his story. Like, he tries to be a dating coach. He hates Rollo. He tries to think he's better than him, but refuses to put any work into it. He married a Polish girl he met in the Ukraine or whatever, and he was going to move down there with his brand new baby son or daughter. I don't remember which. This was January 4th. The kid was 2 weeks old. He went to the January 6th thing.
Yep.
Live streamed. Hey, we're doing this for Trump. Even though I'm leaving the country next week, we're here to save America. One of his high school buddies ratted him out, got his passport taken away. Yeah, all of his life plans gone.
Stupid,
because he thought he could get 500 likes from a Periscope up at the Trump rally.
He tried to clout chase.
And he was sitting here, he's telling me, like, this guy's a degenerate, this guy's an asshole, why can't he be nice and Christian and godly like me, and goes and fucks up his family. And that's why I made him an ad.
Wow, bro. Yo, that's the shit I'm talking about. That's the karma, bro. Like,
yeah.
What did you say, TPA? Is that what it is?
Just we'll go with karma. That's fine.
Okay, yeah.
That actually kind of sounds better. It rolls off the tongue. All right. So for everybody else, we're at the 2-hour mark here. Links are going to be in the chat. You're going to see Flawed on Twitter.
You got to bring me back.
Oh, of course, dude.
I
want to come on your channel too. We'll talk about music.
Let's fucking do it, bro. Because I enjoyed this. This is one of my better favorite. Like,
I'm okay on the guitar and the piano. Oh yeah, mine too, dude. I like it because you're fucking normal, man. Huh? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's what he said. He said he wants to come on our channel. Yeah. She said, have him on ours.
Yeah. You're fucking normal. I could talk to you like a human being, and it's not like there's the shit behind the eyes, you know? Yeah. That's rare.
That is rare. That's what I'm saying. Like, this felt like a genuine conversation. And I already knew that because when you came on Base Staff, like, I obviously didn't know anyone when they come on Base Staff, but Adam's pretty good about the people that he chooses to, like, bring on, because everyone so far has been a legitimate person, and even just you being on there twice, it was like, I like how this dude thinks. I like how you have a good energy, bro, and I could tell that it's a genuine thing from you.
It's the
you know
pink.
what I mean?
It works well with the complexion.
That's what it really is. The pink definitely it softened me.
But yeah, so there'd be the three things. So I got your Rumble,
I
got your YouTube, and I got your Twitter. But don't forget, he's also on Bases F Mondays with Krigler. You guys will see me on the thing. It'll be all good.
Yep.
And I got nothing else. I never had to know to end these things, so I always just ramble until I put the end thing.
79T 24.